To take flight takes preparation, dedication, and a willingness to push one's boundaries beyond of what one assumes is possible. The 2015 Triple Crown of Slopestyle saw the world's best rise to the occasion. Nikolai Radatkin surged with confidence and progression, but a rivalry was further forged between two leading the charge. At the first stop, Crankworx Rotorua, a determined Brett Reeder tapped into something beyond special, while Brandon Semenuk, out of his normal hyper-focused, faltered. Then it was on to France for the second stop. Semenuk, back in form, drew the line in the sand, only to have it crossed and bettered by an unstoppable Brett Reeder. Could the unthinkable happen? A clean sweep season victory for Brett Reeder at the third stop, Red Bull Joyride Canada. Pressure and hopes collapse on the shoulders of Reeder, leaving the door open for a recharged, systematic Semenuk. Brandon finally stepped back to where he is most comfortable, the top of the podium. A new year is upon us. Who will claw their way to make history? The rivalries are ready to claim their place. It begins now. Kia ora, and welcome to Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud, a location that has quickly become one of the undisputed meccas of mountain biking. New Zealand, home to the Skyline Rotorua Gravity Park, site for the first of three stops of the 2016 Triple Crown of Slopestyle, Crankworx Rotorua. How's it going, everyone? Pat Parnell alongside pro rider, co-commentator Cam McCall. Quick gauge of the anticipation excitement factor right now.
Well, everybody's buzzing. Look at the weather. What a great day to start off a new season.
Well, strap in, ready yourselves. The show begins now.
Absolutely perfect execution on that.
So the atmosphere has officially hit fever pitch. Amazing vibe right now, minutes away, kicking off the 2016 season, and what a place to do it. It's a mere plane ride away, but man, well worth the journey as you fly your way on down to the southern hemisphere. The North Island finds itself Rotorua, pristine, untouched, and as we mentioned, quickly becoming one of the undisputed meccas of mountain biking. For a little more on Rotorua's place, rightful place in the sport, we check in with Tina Dixon.
Guys, I was a little curious as to why Rotorua. You know, we're halfway across the world, but being down here, wow, what a location. You know, everyone will talk about the dirt here. Take a look. It is nice and smooth, it's tacky, it's what a rider wants. Think of the perfect heli day if you're skiing and that powder run. I mean, this is it for mountain biking when you come down here. Well worth the trip. And guys, it's part of the community. Mountain biking has nearly tripled the economy and the network of trails, something for everyone, whether you're a grandma, a 5-year-old, a pro. One of the locals told me he even compares scars with his doctor. So it really is part of Rotorua mountain biking, and we're going to experience that culture here as they support this event, guys.
Thanks, Tina. Yeah, it's interesting, Cam. You know, I think Sam Pilgrim, he calls it the magic mud, but it definitely comes into play here when you talk about Rotorua.
Yeah, Rotorua has arguably the best dirt in the world, but even the best dirt in the world isn't worth much unless you have the best dirt sculptors and course designers in the world. And of course, the guy who was regarded as the best course designer and builder in the world is Kelly McGarry.
That's right, in the hearts and minds of everyone here today, and all those watching around the world, is New Zealand's charismatic, infectiously optimistic, and uniquely talented, the late Kelly McGarry, affectionately known as McGazza. Let's take a look.
Kelly McGarry. 3, 2, 1,
Every kid rides a bike from sort of 5 years old. I was one of those kids too, you know. I've always run my bike around the neighbourhood with my neighbourhood friends and that. Used to go out riding the trails. The best advice that anyone gave to me was never play leapfrog with a unicorn. No, that wasn't the best advice. I don't know, I guess it was my mum's advice probably, was just like treat other people like you'd like to be treated. So I just try to do that.
Kelly, no matter what's going on, he's always someone you can look at and get excited to ride because he's always stoked. He's always got a big smile on his face.
Such a nice guy, like super friendly, cool to hang out with. I mean, you obviously know instantly when he's on course because it's like flaming hair coming out the back.
Let's hear it for Kelly McGarry Rotorua. Nice, McGazza in the house.
He's a super nice guy, so down to earth. Yeah, just like such a rad dude.
He's always got some sort of joke that he's saying or cracking. I really enjoy being around him. He's always positive.
Every time we finish the course, we always used to high five and say the operation was a complete success. And just one of Kelly's jokes. Usually working with him was funny every day. Everyone knows Kelly likes to go big, so yeah, when we built courses, he always insisted that everything was big. Just turning up to build this year was pretty sad because Kelly's time marks are actually the last time marks on the course, so it's kind of cool.
One of the things I really like about mountain biking is the places it takes you. So I've met like so many awesome people, and yeah, I would have had none of that without riding mountain bikes. Yeah, I guess I just like to be remembered as someone that went pretty big, and I don't know, I was just happy to be on a bike, I guess, and yeah, it was a good time.
Obviously, one of those things that's difficult to watch, Cam. I know you were close with Kelly, and some would say just the perfect mix of humility, humor, and a hankering for good times on a bike. And right now, a touching tribute run by friends, family, fellow pro riders for New Zealand's own, the late Kelly McGarry. Hard to kind of put into words, Cam.
It's such a heavy moment right now. I mean, such a huge inspiration to all that knew him, but not just those people who had the opportunity to meet him. He impacted so many people through his athletic endeavors, but also his personality that really hit people on a deep level. We have his girlfriend, Sammy, here looking on. Such an emotional moment, seeing so much support to the man she shared so much with.
And a nice mix of pro riders and some that maybe not all that comfortable on the course, but definitely they paid their dues, be part of this tribute.
Yeah, riders in the competition, friends from home, and the train's being led out by his great friend and business partner in his building company, Tom Hay.
And you can just feel the energy here. McGazza, obviously, everyone's standing as the world's best paid their respects for the loss of such a legend. Good friend and course builder alongside Kelly, Tom Hay. He's with our own Tina Dixon as we send it down to the bottom of the course.
Well, there is a lot of emotion down here, and I think any of the tears that we all had just turned to tears of joy as we saw these riders go down in that train. Tommy, just what does it mean to have that tribute to Kelly McGarry?
Well, I think that just shows how much respect Kelly had. Kind of summed up his life, a party on bikes, basically. Yeah, he'd be pretty stoked to have seen that. Hopefully he's checking it out and yeah, just frothing.
You know, Kelly was such a big personality. I think all of us feel his presence here today. When you built this course, what was the goal?
Well, we just wanted people to come to New Zealand and not be disappointed, just love it. And yeah, Kelly especially poured so much passion into the course. All the wood features, they look awesome, beautiful, and they ride awesome. You know, Kelly wouldn't settle for second best.
What would Kelly say today? I know last year he was out here signing autographs. He had the big smile on his face. Kids were loving him. Everyone just loves him here. What would he say right now?
Yeah, he'd just be stoked. You know, that's pretty awesome. You know, one of the world's best trains probably goes down, so he'd be absolutely stoked. And you've got to think that these awesome conditions are something to do with McGazza looking down, you know. It could have been rainy, wet like last year, but it's just perfect.
And I'm sure Kelly would say, let's get out and ride. Guys, give it up for Kelly McGarry.
Thank you, Tina. What an incredibly impactful moment. For those of you that didn't know, on February 1st, 2016, Kelly McGarry passed away as a result of sudden cardiac arrest while riding a remote trail in New Zealand. And I think it's safe to assume he's watching down, obviously, and loving what he's seeing here today, Cam.
Well, we know he is. We can feel his energy all around us. It was so powerful to not only see the best slopestyle riders in the world doing a train in honor of Kelly, but his local riding buddies from New Zealand just practicing all week to be able to make it through from top to bottom of this course, because they know Kelly would be so proud of them.
And you hear his name, you know, throughout the past week here, just how perfect this course is. You were lucky enough to get out on the course with fellow rider Aaron Chess. Let's take a look at an in-close perspective on this incredible course.
Here we are at the top of the slopestyle. I'm here with Cam McCall. We're on Kelly McGarry's legendary course. This is a favorite for everyone, but what makes it so special?
Yeah, it's such a great way to honor the amazing life of Kelly McGarry, being able to ride this course that he designed and built last year. It's widely regarded as the best slopestyle course in the history of the sport.
How crucial is it that you get this first drop?
It's a really crux feature, actually, and it's very, very trickable. Trickable step down, about a 4-foot tall lip, and it's really smooth just jumping it, but don't pick something that's a little bit too hard, because you have to land 2 feet on the pedals perfect, both hands on the handlebars, because the next feature's coming up real quick. It's also trickable. Let's go take a look at it.
I want to see the next one first. All right, pouring in off this big dirt to dirt. It's easily 30 feet, right? You're gonna have so much speed coming down this hill for what?
This one right here, the third feature on the course, this is the best jump I've ever ridden. This thing is 14 feet tall and it shoots you straight up into the air. You have that hang time where you're floating and you can do a trick on the way up. You have that moment of silence where you're basically sitting still, and then enough time at the bottom to get a trick in as well. But you gotta get those feet back on, the hands back on, because you link right into the next feature, which is the cannon. Let's go have a look.
After the third feature, we're coming up to the cannon. This is really cool how it's got this lean to it.
Yeah, every slopestyle course these days needs a cannon feature, and this one is unique. It's creative. Like you said, it has a bit of a bank to it, but the landing is also hipped a bit to the right. And this course being so balanced and well-rounded, it leads right into a ramp to dirt feature hipped the opposite direction. So let's go check that thing out.
As we were just talking about two separate features complementing each other, here we are at the on-off box.
And the on-off box is just that in one feature. So you've got the step on and the step off. And what does it feel like to be on top of that thing? You're getting close to the crowd.
Fueling energy for the last two hits. And here we are, we've made it to the bottom of the course. This is looking so good. I can't wait to see the riders hit this. The money booter.
What a course, right? This is the greatest way to finish off the run here. This course so well-rounded. A kicker drop, a flat drop, hips both ways, 2 money booters, and 2 setup jumps that are trickable. It has everything.
Yeah, the energy is huge. Kelly's here with us today. Everybody enjoy the show.
Some cool hang time with you and Aaron. I have to be honest, though, I do prefer to see you guys on two wheels on the course.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to ride some practice, but it was definitely amazing to walk the course with Aaron and take a look at how tall some of those lips are in person.
No, it's a monster, and it's a great way to kick off the season, which brings me to my next question. The mental and physical stamina factor. This kicks off the season. It's a long way to go. Talk about the season aspect of everything.
You want to start strong because the points start now, and you want to accumulate a lot throughout the course of the season, but it's been a long off season of training for these guys, and starting out the season on the best course is really the best way to kick things off.
Good way to kick it off, and now I'm going to request get your Picasso on. Take us through things that we need to look at in today's competition.
All right, Pat, it's time to pull out the Telestrator pen and get down to the specifics. One of the main things we're looking for here is smooth landings. This entire course is a rhythm section, so it's important you finish each trick smooth and get on to the next one. All right, stop. Take a look at Brett Reeder's arms and his legs. His elbows are bent, his knees are bent, and look at his eyes. Shh. Looking straight down the landing, making a plan for his next trick. Into the next trick at course 720. Stop again, please. There we go. We got the wheels perfectly lined up. His 720 was not 721. It wasn't 690. Right on line with the landing there. Once again, looking forward to the next move.
And then tricks off flat takeoffs.
One of the most popular tricks these days of a flat takeoff is a flat drop backflip. See Zink's butt right now, completely behind his back tire, getting the weight back, and then he shoots his legs out in order to initiate that rotation without the aid of a lip.
And how about the essence of evolution, corked?
Well, yeah, corked rotations such as Cork 720 is really popular these days, but Nikolai Rogatkin, he's doing it on a different axis. This trick is called a cast roll. So he initiates using his top shoulder rather than his bottom shoulder, and it's a bit of a front flip axis when it starts with a 360, and it looks like a flare at the end. Once he spots his landing, he drops his left shoulder instead of his right, and then pulls it around for the last 180 degrees of rotation. Another look here. Watch that right shoulder drop. The rear brake is actually initiated, and then he pulls it around, dropping the left shoulder.
I had no idea you were so artistic. Good job on the Telestrator.
Scribble, scribble.
All right, let's get right into the format, which is a great thing about Crankworx. Very digestible, easy to kind of take in and understand.
Yeah, it is easy to understand, so it's pretty cut and dry. 2 runs, the best run counts. For the second run, the highest scoring rider from the first run goes last, so reverse start order. There's a head judge, and he has 3 judges that he's overseeing. The scores are on a scale from 0 to 100. Use hashtag Crankworx to tell those judges if you disagree or if you agree.
Oh, I'm sure the forums are going to be alive and well throughout the day and throughout the entire season. Speaking of the season, the man with the bullseye on his back, he's with Tina Dixon.
That's right. I am with Brett Reeder. And Brett, for a lot of us, we were in the snow a week ago. In fact, I was up in Colorado. What is it like for you to come from the Northern Hemisphere down here to Rotorua and get ready for a contest?
Yeah, it's definitely like catching a bit of a curveball. Like we're totally in winter mode, and then all of a sudden puts one of the biggest contests of the year right in our winter. So yeah, it's a little bit mentally challenging, but we're getting through it here. The course is amazing, the riding's amazing, everyone's having a good time. We got a pretty good day for finals here. Couple gusts of wind here and there, but I think it's going to be good.
You know, you put together that run last year and took home the win here. Does that play in your mind at all?
Yeah, it does, but I kind of shut it out a little bit. I don't want that pressure. It's obviously, I definitely don't have anything more to gain but another win. I got more to lose than to gain. So, yeah, I like to look at it without thinking that I won it last year.
Yeah, starting with a new slate. It's a new season, guys. Winter in North America, but it's summer down here.
Thanks, Tina. So cool to hear from Brett, and some honest words right there. You know, he's not afraid to let it out.
No, he totally pours his heart out in those interviews. I know when people ask him those deep questions about the contest, it's kind of like he's sitting down on the psychiatrist's chair there, and he's just working through his strategies.
But as Tina said, new season, could be some new names. And I want to encourage everyone following today's broadcast, go to Red Bull TV, check out the event analyzer. It allows you to almost showcase and construct your own heat. Go watch your favorite riders. And the coolest thing about it, too, you can share it all on social. Fast forward to your favorite highlights throughout the event. My favorite way to watch events, I wish I could do this on normal TV, but you do it on Red Bull TV. So it's Red Bull TV Analyzer. Seconds away to kick off the 2016 season, and what a way to get things started. Like the touching tribute, and now a chance to look at our 20 competitors. Whittled down a little bit. A couple injuries plaguing some of the riders out there. So Cam Zink out amongst some others.
Yeah, it's so tough just to get to this point. You have to earn so many points just to be invited to a Diamond Series event. We're starting off with Anton Thielander, and then one of the youngest, actually the youngest competitor in the field, Anthony Missouri right there.
But a lot of talk about the Brandon and Brett show. A lot of focus will be on those two today.
And a lot of focus also on Nikolai Rogatkin coming out with a brand new trick.
So we're going to have a lot of progression. We expect not to see just maybe one new trick, but definitely new tricks off features that we haven't seen it. That's what this event has become to be the benchmark for the season, and it's a great way to start it. What can we expect from, as his friends call him, Anthony?
Anthony Missouri, well, he pops off like a firecracker. Basically goes down swing, and it's either going to be a big explosion of fireworks or an explosion of wheels off the ground. There we go. We're starting things off. Anton Thielander, backflip bar spin on the start, step down. Huge motocross style whip over the long and low. Backflip, tail whip, catching the pedals very early on the step up into the cannon. Oh, flipping the cannon. That's a new one for Anton Thielander. 360 tail up, almost getting hung up, again back to those pedals. Opposite 360 up, regular 360 down off the on-off box. Set up jump, missing the tuck no-hander, but coming back into the last feature, the money booter, backflip bar spin, a tuck no-hander, lands two sideways, Pat.
Up to that point, you brought up the no trick, was just a little offline, but love to see that the high risk, high reward, that off-camber cannon up top, definitely trying to push it.
Well, let's take a look back at some of the highlights. Starting things on the step down with a backflip bar spin, a little bit corked. That's a signature style for Anton Thielander. He corks out those flip bars a little bit more than the rest of the field. And then this flip whip, catching the pedals really early and eyeing up his next feature. And I have not seen him actually do the flip off of that cannon yet, so that's a new one for him this year. An Oppo 3 up and a regular 3 down. But here's where things went wrong. Backflip bar spin, tuck no-hander, fumbles the bars. He spins the handlebars and the front wheel around 360 degrees, and he wants to put them in his lap to take his hands off. But he fumbled and a little bit sideways too. We were talking about how he corks that rotation, came back to bite him here in the last feature.
And surprising for Anton too, a rider known for his clean landing, smooth style, having problems on that last kicker. So the first one of two in the books for him. Remember, it's best run that counts. He's our first rider to start things off here at the 2016 Rotorua Crankworx as he brushes it off. And there it is, a 35.33, a throwaway for Anthony as he'll look towards his second run to improve.
Yeah, Anton Thielander, just a narrow miss right there. Everything stomped for the first 8 features, and then that last one just went awry.
And another fellow Swede, Max Fredriksson, also under the Martin Soderstrom, I would say, protege program, right? Safe to say?
It's true. We saw Martin Soderstrom. He was the first rider to really break out onto the scene from Sweden. And then under him was Anton Thielander. And now, look, there's a third one, Max Fredriksson, making his debut on the Diamond Series.
Born in '95 and steadily making his impact in the industry, just climbing his way a little bit higher each year. And it's great to see that with riders paying their dues.
Well, it's really interesting to watch his riding style, too, because it actually, as if you would put Martin Soderstrom and Anton Thielander melted into one rider. So smooth with such a deep bag. There we go, starting things off. Oh, a double tail up for Max Fredriksson, missing the pedals. We talked about this course being a rhythm section, and if you don't get pedals on the first step down, that's the end of your run.
You talked about it, too, in just the course preview with Aaron Chase. That high-risk, high-reward factor, it's a little tempting with that perfect transition out of the gate, but you have to be set up perfectly for that next jump.
Where the level is right now, it's not like it was in the past. You used to need 1 or 2 banger moves in the past, but now with how high the riding level is and how these riders are training so hard, taking this sport so seriously, you need a banger on every single feature. And with course design being such that you have 9 features that are all perfectly trickable, you got to start things off with something like a double tail up. So Max Fredriksson, first Diamond Series start right now, not going the way he wanted to, but he'll be back up to the top for his second run.
So a great thing about the 2-run format, you do have a chance to falter in that first run. It's best run that counts, so focus will all be on that last final run for him. And a lot of these riders just starting to feel their way. It's been interesting watching practice all week. Some guys seeing some shimmers of some new tricks that will be unleashed here. And These guys are smart. They don't want to take everything out of the bag. As we take a look at Kabani, the rider out of Germany, 26-year-old, hyperactive as a kid. He found mountain biking inspired by local riders building trails. He grabbed a shovel and he was hooked.
Yeah, Amir has such an amazing scene in his hometown of Boppard, Germany. There we go. Tipping the hat to his fellow competitors as he drops in with the 360 bar spin, a truck driver off the start step down, a Superman C grab on the second feature, and into the huge step up. Back flip, one-handed X up. Unique trick for Amir Kabani. One-footed tabletop off the cannon. What does he have on the left hip? It's gonna be a tail whip with nice Superman style with the legs. Bar spin onto the on-off box. A nice 360 down, keeping the nose low. Tuck no-hander on the final setup into the money booter. What does he have? A backflip tuck no-hander, holding the hands off for way longer than you'd normally expect.
A resurgent Kabani comes back and puts a solid one in the books for his first run. Elated with that one.
Really good to see him back stomping a run. He hasn't been on the Diamond Series for a little while, but fought his way back, winning a gold event last year in Montpellier. Take a look back at how he started things off. 360 bar spin off the start, step down, and good trick variety as well. He had 360 variations, backflip variations, and the straight tricks are important too. The Superman C grab leading into that backflip one-handed X up, more of a unique trick that you'll see Amir doing. Backflip tuck no-hander. Focus on how long he left his hands off. Almost looks like he's going to dislocate his shoulders with how big the extension was.
Going for the swan lawn dart approach, just showing the commitment there.
Oh man,
wow.
those arms were behind his head.
Yeah. So scores coming in for Kabani, our second rider with a full pull, top to bottom, a 59, as he'll look to inch a little higher in run number 2. Still many more riders to go with their first of 2 runs. But a good precursor. Things just warming up here. You can feel it, right?
It's so exciting, the fact that we're underway here. It's happening finally. We've been here all week, and now we're off and running.
Well, a rider that you've gone on the record saying he could be the true dark horse, Torquato Testa, the Italian rider, 22 years old. And trying to keep the cramps at bay.
Wow, let's take a listen in. Really easy to get dehydrated out here. Yannick Guarnieri giving him a little massage here. All these riders want the best for their buddies. You want to see everybody stomp their run, and Torquato with a bit of an arm cramp here. Well, hopefully that worked.
Part nerves, part lactic acid. You've been in these situations.
Well, these guys train so hard, practice, you're sweating, it's hot out, it's easy to get dehydrated and get those muscle cramps, but Torquato pushing through the cramps. Oh, backflip no-footed can to start things off. A double tail up on the second feature. Wow, he's off to a good one. A double backflip on the step up. Torquato Testa coming out swinging. 360 off the cannon into the left hip with a backflip tail up over the hip.
If you can maintain
all right, he's got to
speed.
focus here. Opposite 360 up. Flat drop flip down. 2 more features, Torquato. Tuck no-hander on the long and low into the money booter. Backflip, triple no-foot can. Oh, man. Wow, Torquato Testa out of Italy.
We mentioned these riders holding stuff close to the chest and unleashing it, and he did just that. I just want to remind you, a little double thrown in there for good measure. Wow.
Let's take a look back. So, starting things off on the step down with a backflip, no-footed can. Getting straight to the pedals, that's the most important part. Not even taking a crank into this double tail up onto the setup jump. Now here he takes a crank into this step up because he knows he's leaning back not once, but twice for the double flip. I haven't seen him do that in a slopestyle contest yet. Backflip tail up over the hip, way more difficult than if he did it on one of the money booters. Opposite 360 up. The flat drop flip down, such an important trick these days, weighs so heavy on the scorecards. And then this was very impressive. A backflip, but not with not 1, but 2 and 3 no-foot cans. When it's 2 no-foot cans, you call that a pendulum, because it's like the clock's pendulum swinging back and forth, but he adds another one to it.
So Torquato Testa just set a new benchmark here at Crankworx. You mentioned, you went on the record. This could be the dark horse. An amazing, amazing first run of 2. definitely has more in the tank. There was, if you had to be overcritical, maybe a slight casing here, maybe could add something to it. But did you see any flaws in that run?
Yeah, if you had to be critical, here we go. There's a score, Pat.
81.66.
Wow.
We have a new leader and an amazing score to set on run number 1. Let's send it down to Tina Dixon.
Torquato has set the tone high with that 81.66. But let's talk about the top. We had your Yannick rubbing the muscles on your arm. What's going on up there?
I had a lot of cramps before starting my run, so he helped me a lot because he tried to pull away these cramps. And actually, I need some mineral salt for the second run, but would be okay.
What do you think of that first run? It is the high score so far.
Yeah, I did everything that I wanted, so I feel pretty good and satisfied.
It is hot down here, you guys. You're going to want to drink a lot of water.
Thanks, Tina. Drink up, everybody. And at home, watching around the world, this is a time to get festive. McGazza would want it that way.
Absolutely.
A party on a bike.
He would have been so pumped on that run.
Wow. So as we look at Carson Storch as he gets ready on his first run, working on the 720. I know you spent a lot of time with him. Give us what you think is going through Carson's mind right now.
He's got to stay consistent. That's his strength, so he's planning on playing toward his strengths right now, and he's such a fluid rider. He's got a deep bag of tricks. He's been training really hard. I'm fortunate enough to live in the same town and ride with Carson all the time, so I'm very, very excited to see this run.
Has good background in motocross and snowboarding and is no stranger to sending it.
Carson Storch started things off with a backflip to help on the first. Little pedal slip, but back on the gas. He clears the second jump without a trick, but it's important that he's still continuing this run, moving on. Big extended no-footed can on the step up. An opposite 360 on the cannon into a regular 360 tail up on the hip. Going into the on-off box, bar spin up, flat drop flip down. 2 more features left. A tuck no-hander on the setup jump, getting speed into the money booter. A backflip tail up, he comes up short.
Slight problems up top, and then a casing down at the bottom. And
Good or just pissed?
You hear Anton asking him, good or just pissed? Because you're trying to figure out if your friend is hurt or if they're just frustrated. Take a look back how he started this run. A backflip tail up. He fumbled the pedals slightly, but was just focusing on the task at hand, getting over this next jump and not throwing away that first run. Into the last jump, the money booter, another backflip tail up. Looked like he was catching early and looking to throw in another variation, maybe catch the pedals and do a tabletop, but not quite enough speed. It's really tough to carry enough speed into that last jump because you never know if there's going to be a little bit of a headwind.
And it begs the question, too, when you have that bobble up top, you spend the whole run trying to get back into that mental zone as well.
Well, sometimes you're so in the zone that you wipe everything clean right away. He may not even remember that pedal slip at the top.
So a throwaway for Carson Storch on the first run of 2 with lots of problems down. Good to see him standing there. So 33, good enough for 4th place for the moment, but tons of riders yet to take their first of 2 runs. As we continue to go down the order, I'm still reeling just the double back that just got thrown into the mix for
it is
measure.
Happening rapid fire right now. And to carry on the theme, our next rider in the gate looks to be Simon Godziak.
The 24-year-old, inspired by his younger brother, started riding in 2006. His brother's a pro BMX dirt and park rider, and his hometown, the perfect playground to practice this specific type of riding, just slopestyle heaven.
All right, you see Simon Godziak running a front brake, a backflip one-footed can-can off the start step down, a double grab, Superman C grab on the setup into a backflip suicide to bar spin, utilizing that front brake. You need a front brake to be able to do that trick. A 360 off the cannon log, smooth tail whip, very effortless on the hip. Simon Godziak backflipping onto the on-off box, 316 down. Very casual approach right now, keeping things calm, cool, collected into the money booter. 360 tabletop. Such a stylish run for Simon Godziak.
Keeps it clean, keeps it timeless, and he gets 1 in the books, maybe wanting to add on that. And known for bringing that freestyle motocross influence to his slopestyle riding.
Well, we saw that freestyle motocross influence, and we also saw that front brake come into play. Let's take a look back at how he started things off. Backflip, one-footed can on the step down. Here's one of the highlights for me. Letting go of the handlebars, putting both hands on the seat and extending his body fully behind the bicycle. And here's where he got casual. It's a nice 3 off the log, a nice tail up on the hip, and then the flip up to smooth 360 down. He was preserving his energy so that he could go for broke down here with the 360 tabletop, getting nice extension, kind of focusing more on his strengths, not going for the crazy combo on the last jump, but the style, the motocross influence, and utilizing that front brake, just definitely being unique.
Trying to build on that momentum, has had success on the FMB Tour, now trying to make his mark within the Triple Crown of Slopestyle at Crankworx. 67.66, moves into second place position. So you can see a lot of these riders just getting one in the books and knowing that they want to build on that. Current standings, Testa still on top with that 81.66. The Italian rider set a blistering tone.
Well, here's your guy here, next rider in the gate, Anthony Missouri.
19 years old, the youngest rider, as you mentioned, was weaned on 2 wheels. And he has been a force to be reckoned with from a young age.
For Anthony Missouri, 360 bar spin on the step down, sprinting into the second jump, getting the backflip bar spin, almost fumbling the bars, sprinting yet again into that backflip tail whip on the step up. The cannon log, it's going to be a tail whip for Anthony Missouri into the left-hand hip, classic flat spin 360. Was that a bar to bar back, up the step up, a 360 down. Man, he's on the gas right now. Well, flat spin 360 on the setup, and a front flip tuck no-hander to finish things off. Oh man, that run was packed. Was he on the gas or what?
Comes back revitalized. We were talking earlier before we came on air how the 720 plagued him last year, but just re-racked, reorganized, and really put together an incredibly creative run there.
That run was absolutely ridiculous. 360 bar spin. Watch him pedal right here. He's a little guy. He carries less speed than some of the bigger riders in the field. Almost missing the handlebar on that backflip bar spin, sprinting into this backflip tail whip. And here's where things get technical. Down to the money booter. Front flip, putting his bars in his lap, holding him there while he takes his hands off. That run was packed full of the goods. Look at that, no head bob landing on the front flip. You come down with the front flip with way more forward, downward force, but absorbing it with his arms and legs.
Talk about the frenetic kid energy, and where is it gonna sit? For Missouri, a 74.66, so moves him into the second spot just behind the Italian. Testa still holding strong with that 81.66.
Wow.
And 100% New Zealand day here. This is what we came here. This is why we took the flight all the way down to the Southern Hemi to see riding like this. You've been on pins and needles all morning long. Are you seeing what you hope to be seeing?
Well, this is the sport that I've been involved with for so long, taken to the next level. We knew today was going to be a legendary day in progression for the sport, and it's not disappointing.
And Rebeu of France, the 22-year-old, the style cat. What is it about his riding that makes it so stylish?
Well, the favorite thing for me about Louis Rebeu's riding is his flat spin 360. It's been emulated by many riders, but he's the originator of that style. And we see him start out with that very trick, landing a little bit sideways, but holding on. Backflip, Superman C-grab, Indian air on the setup, into the step up. Wow, Superman C-grab to town, a combination I've never seen. And he's flipping the cannon. I haven't seen that one from him yet either. Oh, 450 on the hip, almost thrown it away. Wow, he was going for the opposite 360 up. Very much lucked out by making it to the top of that tower.
Wow, and that doesn't get any better. That's a dismount for sure.
That could have been very ugly, but he turned it in. He's such a graceful rider, so he turned it into something where he could get the crowd going.
I think it just illustrates just the sheer height had he not been able to get off the bike and transfer onto that.
It's a shame to see that run derailed, but it's really great to see that he's all right. You do not want to fall off of that platform.
How about, can we get back to the Superman C-grab and then late tail whip on that?
Oh, everything happened so quick.
The mechanics of that,
how
difficult. Maybe you could break down just the difficulty of something like that.
Well, a combination, any combination where you're doing a tail up on the way down, is going to be tough. So taking a look at the replays, here's this classic flat spin 360 style we've grown to love from Louis Ribot. And somehow landing sideways but carrying the speed into this Superman seat grab. Here's the combo. Superman seat grab to tail up. Not only is he taking his hand off, but he's putting his legs completely behind him. He's got to pull them back and then kick the bike into that tail up rotation. Getting his weight all the way back to initiate that backflip off of the cannon. Here's where things went sour. On the 450, tagged a tiny bit. He wanted to go opposite 360 up here, but he didn't have the speed because he came up slightly short on the left hip.
So unfortunate, as you mentioned that.
Oh, that's what happened. Look at that. His tire blew up when he landed slightly sideways and slightly cased, so he had no speed going up the lip of that step up. That's why he had to abort the opposite 360.
Well, then he can hold his head up high then.
It wasn't his fault. That's why he's
going to be interesting to see, too. And it's great to see him push the limits. We should point out that off-camber cannon, it's a little deceiving how difficult it is to do certain tricks off that.
So you get guys practicing tricks off of a cannon in their own time, soft landings, foam pits, whatnot. But to do it on a bank is really impressive.
So continue right back up to the top as we continue the first runs of 2. Best run counts. And the bar has been set awfully high by the Italian. Testa still on top. And we get ready for Medigani, the 27-year-old out of Lyon, France. Best ranking, 13th back in 2015. And comes from the BMX background.
Medigani, backflip tuck no hander on the step down. Wow, a slowly rotated front flip over the second feature, right into a backflip double bar spin on the step up. Into the cannon, 360, landing perfect. The left hip, it's gonna be a backflip tail whip. Holding on to things into the step up. A 360 up, straight air down, that's gonna hurt him. Now into the setup jump, another straight air. He needs to make up for this on the last jump. A straight backflip. Started out so strong, but needed to fill up those straight airs.
Where did it go off for Medi? It was interesting. It seemed like he was on his rhythm, finding the flow.
Take a look at him right here. It looks like maybe his stem got crooked, and that's why he wasn't able to do as many tricks on the way down. He's straightening it right now. That might have something to do with it. Looking back at the replay, backflip tuck no hander. Medigani, I call him the most underrated guy in slopestyle. Not so many people know him. His riding level has been on point for so long. That front flip into that back flip, double bar spin. He made it onto the Diamond Series last year and had some really good results, so it's great to see him back here right now. I want to see him back up to the top, get those handlebars straightened, and see what he had planned for the end of that run.
So a rider deeply inspired by watching Dave Mira, the late Dave Mira. Got him into the sport, lays down a 52.66. Safe to say, though, we can expect an improvement upon that as he starts to up a couple of the other hits throughout those other features. As we can see, the entire course lined, lined top to bottom. And Torquato Testa, our current leader on his first run of 2, really set a challenging role for everyone on their first runs. I mean, we expect as we get further down the order towards the likes of Brett Reeder and others, but interesting to see. We expected to see new names, but not so fast.
Well, here's a familiar name right here, Yannick Grenieri.
Yannick Grenieri, grandfather was the famous bike manufacturer, so he was destined to find greatness in the sport, was born into it, and great to see Yannick. He's been going on record just saying how much he loves this course. You'd be hard-pressed to find a rider that doesn't.
Well, you honestly, to be 100% honest, you hear riders complaining about courses quite often, but nobody complains about this course. Yannick Grenieri getting things underway. Backflipping off the start tower into the second jump with a backflip tuck no hander, getting a good variation. Step up, backflip tail whip, landing smooth into the cannon. Yannick Grenieri with a tail whip. A reignited fire for Yannick Grenieri the last 2 seasons. Flat spin X up. A front flip up onto the on-off box. A tail whip down. Wow, it started strong and it's just heating up. Tuck no hander on the setup, coming up a little short. Will he have the speed? Oh, he improvises with a tail whip on the last jump. Great call right there. Barely enough speed to clear the jump, so he pushes through with that tail whip just to guarantee that he doesn't get a straight air.
It was that second to last hit before the McGazza moneymaker that gave him difficulties, but up top, off to a strong start.
He started things off with a backflip But here was a combination on the second feature, a backflip tuck no-hander. Definitely a tough jump to do a backflip combo on. Here's the jump you're gonna see all the combos on. He's choosing a backflip tail up on that step up, and then that classic trademark flat spin 360 into that step up front flip, the tail whip drop, and here's where he lost his speed. The tuck no-hander on the setup. He tagged a lot and he sprinted all the way into that money booter. I'll tell you one thing about a tail up is you can come in a little bit slower to the jump and push through. When you kick the tail whip, you push the bike out in front of you, it almost pulls you over the jump. So great job improvising there for Yannick Grenier on the last jump.
Yeah, Yannick trying to salvage that run. There was definitely some moments and some good splashes of creativity there. The front flip up top and a 62.66, just enough to narrowly missed the top 3. So 4th place for the moment for Grenier.
I mean, that was a great run considering that wasn't exactly what he had planned and he had to just improvise. He got a great score.
And up top, Thomas Lemois. And he is having a good week. Won the RockShox Pump Track Challenge. Definitely has that BMX racing background. Uncanny ability to casually throw bar spins too. So I think we can expect to see a few in his run. But off that run, the win from the pump track, you would hope that would carry over into the slopestyle for him.
He was a busy man last night. The pump track challenge finished up so late. He skipped dinner, went straight to bed, had bigger business to take care of here on Saturday. Starting things off, the 360 tuck no-hander, landing absolutely perfect on the step down. Oh, casual off-axis backflip. This is the smoothest run we've seen so far. Backflip, bar spin to X up on the step up. Look, not taking any pedals in between features. The judges like that. 360 bar spin off the cannon. A flip whip on the hip. Double bar spin up the step up. A 360 X up down. He hasn't taken a single pedal stroke this whole time. Bar spin to X up on the setup. One last jump. 360 tuck no-hander to bar spin.
What?
Wow!
With the tire pop? Are you kidding me?
Oh, the composure of Thomas Lemoine.
You talked about that quiet style, that languid, lazy style approach. Not one pedal. We'd have to go back and watch. I didn't see one crank. He's not chopping wood on this run.
That was so exciting from start to finish. 360 tuck no-hander off the step down, not taking a pedal. Corked out backflip over the hip and into the step up. That backflip bar spin. Well, I got a little more time. Let me try to crack an X up into there. Then this last jump, 360, puts the bars in his lap, takes his hands off, throws the bars around again. He lands so sideways, but keeps his upper body square so that he doesn't crash. He blew out the tire, but held on.
He completely manhandled that landing. Unbelievable. And I love the fact that he flowed that entire run. No pedaling in between.
The bike skill that it requires.
I mean, the subtlety. And you mentioned, too, that quiet style on his landings, very smooth.
And this kid's been on a bike since he was so young, and it really shows his experience.
Second youngest rider here at 19 years old as well. And the score to beat, 81.66 by the Italian. Scores coming in. Lemois, second place for the moment.
See, the judges love the fluidity and the smoothness of that run, not taking pedals. He didn't have a double backflip like Torquato did, but he was so smooth and had so many finely executed tricks that he's sitting in second place.
And when you talk about that overall impression, one rider the judges love to watch is Sam Reynolds. Great performance at Rampage as well. Been focusing a little bit on downhill. But what is it about Sam Reynolds that resonates with the fans?
Well, yeah, he's a showman, no doubt about it. He's the guy who's going to stomp his run, then start dancing in the finish line. Been spending a lot of time on his downhill bike, like you said, free ride, doing the Fest Series. Backflip, tuck no-hander off the start, step down for Sam Reynolds, kicking things off. Wow, no-footed can, no-hander. We saw him do that at Rampage last year. Backflip, tail up on the step up. Sam Reynolds isn't pedaling between features either. A tail up off of the cannon. Oh, 360 one-footed can on the hip. You have to over-rotate when you spin to the left on that. 360 off the step down. Superman, just like he did in Rampage over that setup jump. Into the moneymaker, cork 720. Oh, just barely too short.
Able to run out, but so close on that casing.
Such a run there, and it came down to about 3 inches too short on the last jump. Take a look back. Backflip, tuck no-hander. Look at how smooth his landings are right now. We're getting toward that part of the running order where we're seeing the very, very, very smooth riders. Backflip tail up, catching pedals early. 360 down the step down. Unique tricks in this run too, that no-footed can, no-hander, and that Superman over the long and low. You're not seeing anybody else do that. Cork 720, here it is. Watch his back tire. Hang up just by about 3 or 4 inches, sends his body to the flat bottom, but in true Sam Reynolds fashion, gets up, plays to the crowd. Can't wait to see him back up for run 2.
So smiles nonetheless with the difficulties on the McGazza Moneymaker at the bottom.
It's no joke falling on that jump, but these guys have adrenaline surging through their veins. They're doing it for McGazza. He just pops right up. Look at him just.
So a throwaway for Reynolds on run number 1, and a good angle of the SRAM. Just the step down, the height on that. SRAM, you can see there's the height on that. Kind of deceiving, right, when you look at it from this angle?
Yeah, I haven't actually got a tape measure up there, but I'm going to say it's probably about an 18-foot drop, so about a 6-meter vertical drop off of that thing. Very sizable, no doubt about that.
6 more riders yet to go with their first of 2 runs. It is best run that counts. And Tomas Zeta in the gate, 25-year-old, has had success on the European circuit. 7th here last year. He's looking to better that. Here he goes, run number 1.
Tomas Zeta, known for packing tons of tricks into one jump, and doing just that on the start feature with a 3-whip and a 360 quick table on the second feature. A smooth tail up on the step up. 360 X up off of the cannon log into the left-hand hip with a tail up to X up, packing so many tricks into one jump. A 360 bar spin, a truck driver up, a 360 down. Tail whipping the long and low, carrying great speed into the Moneymaker. Backflip, tail whip, stops the landing.
Clean, just a slide, maybe 2 inches off, and flawless top to bottom there.
Well, Zeta known for his combinations and packing a lot into just one jump. We're going to take a look back at the replay and see him 360 tail whip off the start tower. I haven't seen anybody else do that. I heard he was doing it in practice. And then his style. People always talk about his tabletops. 360 table completely flat, and then tail whipping up that step up. With the fact that jump has so much airtime and how many combos Zeta has in his bag, I got to think he was looking for more, like that tail whip X up off of the hip. Truck driver up onto the on-off, 360 down. And this is the first rider we've seen so far, tail up in the long and low into the backflip tail up, keeping his shoulders square to the way he wants to be facing. Sliding the back tire a little bit, but holding composure into that finish berm.
Yeah, barely visible. Has to be happy with that run. And now he'll just look at that second run. So a 57.33. Judges really being critical on those clean landings, but a chance for Zeta to improve on his second run. So 7th place with the best he can do for the moment.
I think the thing that held his score back was just tail upping on the third feature. He has the ability to do so many tail up combos. You saw him do tail up to X up on a much smaller jump in that run. So you know he has more in the tank for that third feature.
Hot tubs and sunshine here. Tank tops as Sam Pilgrim, 2013 former FMB world champ. He was kind enough to take us on board earlier in the week, our GoPro course preview. Let's jump on board with Sam Pilgrim.
I can sit like back here, right? And then get some movement. Hello everyone, Sam Pilgrim here, and I'm in Rotorua for Crankworx on literally the best course I've ever ridden in my life. And I'm gonna take you through it and show you how sick it actually is, so let's go. First feature, backflip down the drop, yeah. Then you got this big hip, woo! Into the big step up with a big backflip, whoa, yeah! Then off the boner loop, tuck my hand up, woo! Over the hip, straight, up, onto the step off, drop down, yeah, big race jump, into the final jump, with a backflip again, oh yeah, woo! Oh man, such a sick course, you did such a good job McGazza, we missed you bro.
Great perspective there on course, and I think everyone concurs. Missing and feeling McGazza here as Sam Pilgrim gets ready for his first run of 2. What isn't in Sam Pilgrim's pantry of progression? It seems like he has all the tricks. He's trying to find that form that he had in 2013. What does he need to do?
Well, he just needs to link it all together. He is one of the most consistent riders, starting things out with a backflip turn down. You don't see anybody else doing that. He's running those high bars, enabling him to get underneath there. Oh, backflip tail up on the step up. Tail up on the cannon. He has a smile on his face. I saw it 2 shots ago. 360 tail up over the hip. Tuck no hander onto the step up. Oh, backflip tabletop off the flat drop. He was the first rider in the history of the sport to do that flat drop backflip. And a backflip Superman straight to pedals to finish things off.
Great extension, great punctuation. Leaving that indelible mark on the last kicker.
Well, he is completely up to full form right now. That was a classic Sam Pilgrim run. I really want to look back at these first 2 features, the style of that backflip turn down on the step down, and this right here, the 360 inverted table. He really got clicked into that. That's exactly what you want that trick to look like. Not piddling into that step up with the backflip tail whip. Here's his move right there, throwing a variation on the flat drop flip with the tabletop. First variation we've seen so far today on a flat drop flip. And then that backflip Superman, hanging the legs out there to dry, put them right back on the pedals. Another look.
I mean,
perfect to pedals.
Completely scorpioned at one point.
Well, he'll have great execution scores on that run.
So trying to get his way into the top 3 and hopefully on top of the heap. Pilgrim looking resurgent and very confident on his first run of 2. A good harbinger for him as he's looking for a solid 2016 season.
Well, after a good start with that run, look at his trademark style. Let's talk about that for a second. The
tank top?
V-neck tank top.
He's spring breaking right now. Make no mistake.
Missing 2. He's got the green bike.
Scores coming in, and so Pilgrim just shy of the top 3, 72.66, but we know he's got more tricks in his bag as well as a trick that no one else does, so maybe he'll unleash a little magic. Maybe there's rumors, that's all I'm going to say. Just rumors at this point.
Well, he's got a good safety run in the bag right here, so it's going to be fun to see him play around with it in run 2.
Yeah. Tomas Chenot, always the bronze. If we look back to last year, Rotorua, 3rd place. In France, 3rd place. Joyride in Whistler, 3rd place. I think he wants to up that here this year to make the podium that much and not crack into the 2nd and 1st place position. What does that do to a rider's psyche?
Well, we call him the king of consistency for a reason. As you pointed out, 3 third places last year on the Crankworx World Tour. It does not get more consistent than that. I always say about this guy, he's got what it takes to do this for the long haul. I wouldn't be surprised to see him still going strong in his 30s. Dropping in for this run, double tail up straight to pedals, carrying nice speed into the 2nd feature. A clicked 360 tabletop. He's got a combo planned here. 360 bar spin to tail whip. So smooth. Now a truck driver on the cannon that's slightly hipped. An opposite 360 one-footed table on the hip the other direction. Backflip up the step up. 360 tuck no-hander down. Very unique trick. Tuck no-hander on the setup jump. Money booter, cork 720, stopped. Yeah, Tommy G is here to play.
Consistently consistent. Can we
I almost mistakenly felt surprised there, but I shouldn't be. This guy is so consistent. Of course he's going to land his run.
And deceptively calm and collected, always.
Look at this, double tail up, catches the pedals early, lands, pumps, waits till he's done pumping to start pedaling. 360 tabletop. I knew he had this up his sleeve. 360, bar spin to tail up, triple combo. And this right here is a 450 bar spin off the cannon, an opposite 450 one-footed table. With those jumps being hipped out, you have to rotate more than a 360 to land clean with the landing. 360 tuck no-hander down, that's a new one. And the cork 720, what a great way to cap that run.
So there's the smile. Often you see that stoic side, but not when you have a run like that. 81.66,
wow.
The score to beat. A 90, Chenot jumps to the top of the heap.
Well, consistency, fluidity, and grace pays off for Thomas Janon.
So now we know it's going to take a run in the 90s, and if someone can challenge that, it's the gentleman on the right side of your screen, Nikolai Rogatkin. As you know, Rogatkin on a collision course of sorts when we talk about this season. Let's take a look.
In 2005, I was racing dual slalom. It was a Belgium championships. I was in the kids category, and I was riding dirt jump in the forest with my friends, doing suicide no-hander and no-foot can-can.
2005, I was 9 years old, and sending my first backflips and tailflips and 360s, and yeah, really just not caring about crashing, just going big and doing ridiculous things.
2012, first time taking the plane for Canada. Then I won Joyride. Obviously insane feeling, and it was pretty much the year I came from being at school and just riding bikes after to riding bikes every day. 2014, Les Deux Alpes, it was a really sketchy course that time, I remember, and it was really hard for practice. Everybody crashed. I just did what I can do best. Yeah, I got second, Anthony won, and it was a good feeling, yeah.
2014 is really when I discovered mountain biking, and it was crazy to go to all the biggest contests and manage to qualify for the Diamond Series, and to have a successful rookie year was insane. It was life-changing for me. Yeah, 2014, first year at Rampage, you know, never imagined to be so gnarly. Really took it back to the tricking roots, but it was an insane experience for me.
So 2015, finished third at all three Crankworx. After Rampage, I won the overall FMB. It was just like a whole year that I was riding good, so I'm pretty stoked on that. Yeah.
2015 was a dream year, you know, podiums in 2 Crankworx, and just the best year in terms of riding with all the guys, going to so many events and the best sessions, and yeah, stoked to come out third in 2015.
2016, to be honest, I would be so happy on winning one of the Crankworx. That would make me feel really happy.
Me in 2016, we'll see what happens, but I'll be sending it.
So potentially a new Belgian-American rivalry in the works right now. Rogatkin, it's so interesting when you look back on both of their careers, how much and how fast they've delivered the goods that it takes so many other riders. We'll watch Rogatkin here. His first of 2 runs. Well, we see progression, and we do.
He blew his tire out. Nikolai Rogatkin starting that run out with a Quark 720 on the step down, landing slightly sideways. It was too much for that tire bead to hold on to, and he has no air pressure left for the rest of this run. Oh, what a shame, and it's all going to come down to that second run.
All or nothing. And that's exactly the way he was approaching run number 1. I mean, that's lightning in a bottle at its best.
Look at this. Quark 720 on the step down. This is the trick that's won Brandon Semenuk Joyride titles back-to-back years. Nikolai knowing what he has to do to win in 2016, going for it, but the tire had another plan.
So off to his pit crew of 1, how it works for a lot of these riders, but he's got to reset. I mean, there's even rumors of a 1080. I mean, he's got so much more in his bag, and we watched that all or nothing approach last year, and that's what allowed him.
Well, the mountain bike world is so lucky to have Nikolai Rogatkin, and we were about to see a world's first in a slopestyle competition if he were to have been able to make it to the final feature.
Let's talk.
Look who we have next, Pat.
And it's interesting, as you look at this jersey, I'm getting a little deja vu as we instantly reflect back to 2015, a different Brandon Semenuk. As we take a look at his run, let's wax nostalgic here. And,
well, this is the man who defines the sport. This was his run last year, 360 double bar spin to start things off, a tuck no-hander to tail whip, tough combo on that long and low. Down to the on-off, it was looking smooth. Flip, one-footed can down, carrying as much speed as he possibly could. And then this is the way he wanted to seal the deal. A Quark 720 with a bar spin. Just didn't pull hard enough on the rotation off of the lip, coming up slightly under-rotated. And look at that, so bummed. He smoked his head. As you take a look at another replay right here, lands sideways, watch his head hit the ground, and he was dizzy, he was seeing stars. He tried to get back up to the start, but it wasn't going to happen.
And now a chance for redemption. It took him all the way until Joyride last year to find his normal, we talk about that flawless flow that he has. He seems unrattled all the time, and there were moments last year that definitely Brett Reeder got the best of him. I can tell you that Brandon Semenuk is ready to come back and really lay the gauntlet down from the first stop on the season. You can see the focus, that steely glaze.
Brandon going through his ritual. He's always making sure those goggles are on perfect before he takes his first pedal stroke.
Here we go, run number 1.
Brandon start things off with a 360 tail whip. So smooth on that landing. Tuck no hander to tail whip, reminiscent of what we saw last year. Backflip, tail whip. Looked like he was looking for another combo after catching the pedals. Wow! Backflip, tuck no hander off the cannon. Into the hip with a 360 downside tail up. Regular 3 opposite whip. Opposite 360 bar spin up. Backflip, one-footed can down. Into the setup. Tail whip right to the pedals. He has speed, Pat. Cork 720 bar spin. Stopped! Wow! Redemption for Brandon Semenuk.
One for the books. As an eruption of applause. Top to bottom of this mountain.
Oh,
you can see the sigh of relief. You almost knew it, the way that he left the top gate.
360 tail whip down. This was amazing. We saw that highlight clip, and then it looks like a mirror image right here. Hard to believe that we were watching footage from a year ago, now watching footage from today. Into the last jump, just like he tried to cap it last year. This time, the only difference, landing perfect. Cork 720 throwing the handlebars a 360-degree rotation on their own.
Talk about the wherewithal, just to spot the landing at that point.
The air awareness. He has to be looking at his handlebars to make sure he gets his hands back on them when he should be looking at the landing to finish the 720 rotation. So complicated.
So the big question, can he crack into the 90s? We'd be surprised if he didn't, but obviously a lot of things to take into account. The score for the top spot right now, he's got a 90, and he does, a 94.33. We have a new leader in the midst of the first of 2 runs. Let's check in with Tina Dixon.
Yeah, Pat, and we saw footage of Brandon falling on that trick, the Cork 720 bar spin to land it. The same jump, the same contest. How redeeming is that?
It's pretty much why I wanted to come here, is just to get that, because that was like such a bummer last year. So it feels good to sort of get the redemption and get a solid first run.
It is a solid first run and a huge score. You know, everyone's talking about how great this course is. What are the possibilities?
I mean, that's honestly just breaking the surface. Like, you could go absolutely nuts. It's just the course isn't limiting. It's actual how hard of tricks you can do on everything. So, I mean, it's just the consistency. You're trying to work with consistency.
Yeah, and guys, we're finishing up round 1. One more rider to go.
Thanks, Tina. I think Brandon calling that a solid run is the understatement of 2016 so far. It was like a Kevlar-wrapped Rock of Gibraltar. That thing was beyond solid, and you know that Brett Reeder was up top, the defending champ here, the defending overall champ of the Triple Crown Series, and watching that run now, all that pressure just gets lopped on. Everything that Reeder comes in, being, you know, one of the favorite riders here, it's that much more pressure. How does he channel it out?
Well, we are so lucky to see these guys go up against each other. It's always such an amazing show, but yeah, what does he do inside his head to be able to deal with this situation? It's not his first time dealing with a situation where Brandon's on top, and he's got to answer back. Here he goes. Brett Reeder starting up. Wow, backflip tuck no-hander. A backflip bar spin and tuck no-hander right into a Cork 720. That's what he did last year, too. Whoa, backflip opposite tail up the step up. An opposite tail up on the cannon, right into the hip. 360 triple bar spin, straight into an opposite 360 bar spin. Backflip one-footed can on the flat drop. Tuck no-hander, he wanted to get a bar spin right there, but he's got speed for the last jump. Backflip, double tail up, straight to pedals for Brett Reeder.
So an amazing answer back. You pointed out maybe one hit that he didn't
Well, he got a trick. It's just he didn't get a combo trick. That's where he's setting his sights so high. Look at this. This is the trick he used to win on the last jump last year, the backflip bar spin to tuck no hander. He put this trick in his run last year, Cork 720. Nobody else in the world has Cork 720, that jump right there. This right here, it's a backflip with an opposite tail whip, and then an opposite tail whip on that cannon feature. 360 with 3 bar spins, an opposite 360 with 1 bar spin. Leaning back, flipping off of that drop with a 1-foot can, that foot going over the top tube onto the other side. He did miss the tuck no-hander on that setup, you're right. And then here's the banger. The trick that took him out of the Triple Crown Hope last year in Whistler, the backflip double tail. He's been practicing all winter. Feet go right to the pedals, perfect rotation, stomp landing.
And definitely taking some risk up top, throwing some challenging tricks. Obviously, that we talk about that high risk, high reward. And you talk about him not realizing just how good he is. Yeah. So the score to beat has to get better. And Semenuk with the 94 plus. And Reeder has found himself in that territory. Has to better, 94.33. Scores coming in 92, just shy of that mark. So second place for the moment, and the battle royale continues in 2016. On. The back and forth with these two.
It is on, Pat. This is why we show up to these events, the battle royale between those two guys.
As we look at our current standings, and Jeannot, the Belgian rider, once again finds himself in familiar territory in third place. We can expect more guns blazing for the Belgian when he comes back in second run. It is best run that counts. But Brett Reeder, Semenuk, the rivalry is alive and well as these two incredible back and forth. So more to come. Let's check in with Tina Dixon.
The battle is on down here, guys. And what's interesting is I talked to Brandon Semenuk earlier, and I asked him, how do you get back into that competitive mindset after taking a break from competitions? You have to remember the last Crankworx Slopestyle was in August, and he told me he thinks for about 2 to 3 months, prepares, trains for those contest runs. But now he's been riding, but working on other projects, filming, and he said, coming into this, I really have not been thinking about a competition run. Well, what he just did, who knows, maybe that, or not overthinking, has reduced pressure, reduced the anxiety, and guys, he still has one more run.
Thanks, Tina. Yeah, you know what he did? I think he tapped into his inner Zen Buddhist approach, where just the indifference and that relaxed approach is really paying dividends in the first run of 2. And we want to encourage everyone, as we mentioned earlier, following today's broadcast, go to Red Bull TV. It's the best part about watching all the events on Red Bull TV. You can go back, the analyzer, watch your favorite riders, your favorite runs, tricks that are groundbreaking, that are going to be making the history books and the highlights. And you can actually share it through social media. You get on here all the time.
You can get in there and pick which run you want to see. You want to see Brett's run, click on that. It's really easy to share it with your friends. So a great way to get everybody involved in the action. Share just the amazing level of competition we have with all the people who weren't able to tune in. Look at these replays right here for this heat analyzer. We're seeing so many similarities between last year's runs and this year's runs. Just tricks juggled to different features.
You get to share the party on the bike, is what it is. And speaking of all things Fiesta here in Rotorua, as we check in with Cam with Rodakin.
Hey, Nikolai. How's it going, buddy? Bummer to see you blow that tire out on the Cork Sev on that first step down. You going to get back up there for another run and try to stomp that new trick on the bottom jump, perhaps?
Oh, of course, we can't look that far. And yeah, bummer to blow out the tire on the Cork Sev, but with such a banger trick right off the bat, always the nerves are there and it's tough. So gotta be sending it for Kelly, and I tried, but the tire blew out, and you know, it happens. But yeah, for sure gonna go back up and send it, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so now that you only have 1 lap left, are you going to go for the guts right now and go for your ideal glory run, or are you going to try to play it safe and get a good result moving in for points for the rest of the series? What's your plan now?
Well, you know what? The way my practice played out, I just tried to do all the best tricks I could on every jump, and you know, that's what I'm set to do. So there's no safety now. It's just now or never, you know, bangers or nothing.
Well, I hope that tire stays on. Can't wait to see your second run. Get back up there and kill it, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Wow, good to hear from McGazza, and he is going to bring it on run number 2. A lot of excitement building for that. Remember, it is best run that counts, and a lot of riders that we expected to crack into that top 5 faltered on that first run. So you can see the fans of Rotorua coming out in force. So much riding to take advantage in this incredible, pristine, untouched area. Let's take a look at just one of the thousands of trails to take advantage of.
Hot springs, so you take your buddies out for a good lap on this trail. It's called Rainbow Mountain. A little bit different terrain there than you see here at Skyline Park. You got some cool roots, some cool rocks, and like we said, those geothermal hot springs, great way to finish a ride. Grab a beer, plop in those hot springs after throwing roost with your buddies. Bonk some trees. Great place to come out for a nice playful ride in Rotorua.
This is what brings thousands of people to Rotorua. It's such an incredibly magical place. And you mentioned that riding. So a reflective reader now thinks about what he has to do to battle Seminole on the top spot.
It's got to be a crazy feeling for Brett because he stomped his run. That was his, his plan, and he executed it perfectly. And so now he's, he's a strategist. So I'm sure he's been thinking about, well, if I land that run and it's still not enough, what do I got to dump out in order to take out Brandon?
And will it be here or will it be at the second stop in Leger? Are we going to see a flipping of the script? But it's all about France, the next stop.
Welcome to a nice, beautiful day here in Crankworx. Stop number 2 on the World Tour. Fans are going wild, coming down to the final jump. What do they got? Who is going to take it?
So you can see all the fans anxiously awaiting the second runs of 2, and Brandon Seminole finally finding his form that everyone was anticipating and taking that relaxed approach. But a lot of focus too on the dark horse, the Italian. Going to be interesting to see what he pulls out in run number 2.
Well, Torquato Testa's run went exactly to plan. He did some tricks that I don't think we've ever seen a backflip with 3 no-footed can-cans in a slopestyle contest run before, and I've never seen him do a double backflip in a contest run. So does he have more in the tank? I know he teased a trick off of a flat drop in a video a couple months ago. Will he pull it out here? We're going to have to wait and find out.
A textbook day, and expect the unexpected. That's what we've learned from run 1 of 2. Right now, let's check in with Tina Dixon.
I like that, expect the unexpected, but I'm not sure that Paul Rack, who's the head judge, who likes that so much. He does a lot of preparation, a lot of eyes are on you, and what you're scoring down here, but what did you like so far that we've seen?
Well, actually, the last couple of runs is what we wanted to see. The contest we wanted to see is guys throwing down the best tricks possible, and that's what happened.
Someone like Nikolai Rogatkin, he's got the new trick. We were talking about it. There was a lot of anticipation, and he was not able to throw it in that first run. How do you prepare for that?
Well, actually, we watch these guys on social media, and we make sure we know what they're doing. So actually, we've seen the trick. We know he's got it. He sticks it quite well. Now we just want to see it in his run.
We do want to see it in his run. And one more question, Torquato's run. There was a lot of new stuff from him. What did you like that you saw from him as well?
Yeah, that kid, every time he enters a contest, is blowing our minds. He did a couple of really good trick difficulty. I think if he holds it together in the second run, he might be up there.
All right, there you guys go from head judge Paul Rack. Second runs are on their way.
So many things to take in, obviously. The hardest job in the world to sit down and disseminate what's being thrown down on this course as we welcome Aaron Chase up to the booth. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So you two, between you two, you've seen so much from start to finish in the sport. What do you make what we've seen so far?
Wow, it's progression at its finest. I mean,
from the course all the way down to the riders, all the weight that they've been carrying through practice, and how they're wowing each other at the starting hill, you know, and now it's like it's a redemption round with these guys.
It's a nice gentleman-like one-upmanship that we love to watch, which brings us to in-out. Obviously, halftime here gives us a chance to reflect. So let's start with the in.
Well, flat drop flips.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of the high-scoring runs using those flat drop flip tricks. So top 2 runs right now, Brandon Semenuk, Brett Reeder, both doing a variation of a flat drop flip with that one-footed can.
How about out? We always have to, you know, we have to go negative a little bit. Out.
Well, here's the hilarious thing right now. Up until a couple days ago, Brandon Semenuk was not planning on competing at this contest, so he was out. He is nothing. That is the last thing he is right now, sitting in first place. So he booked a plane ticket about 5 days in advance. Some of his filming obligations fell through, so he's here sitting in first place.
So, to be Captain Obvious, don't count him out, ever.
Never count Brandon Semenuk out when he shows up to a contest.
On the bubble.
Well, on
Mr.
the bubble
Chase.
is hardtails.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, people are going back and forth with different bikes all the time. You don't even know who's going to show up on a hardtail except for a guy like Pilgrim or whatever. But it's the yin and the yang. I don't know which one I'd pick. It seems like the hardtails are holding up except for some of the flats.
Yeah, a lot of the European riders opting for the slope bikes. We haven't seen that in the past, but yeah, it kind of helps if you land a little bit sideways, dampen the blow a little bit. Cabani, Testa, Godziak, Grenier, Lemoyne, Reynolds, guys you don't typically see on full suspension bikes. They're doing it out here today.
And we should point out, when you're on the Magic Mud here and when you have a course that's this perfect, a little deceiving too with the hardtail.
Yeah, I think it would give a rider an advantage when it comes down to the quickest tricks, but then you got, you know, Reeder and Semenuk doing the quickest tricks on those bigger bikes, and it's giving them that control, and it's plowing a better line for them coming down the hill. So
well, those are the 2 guys who've been leading the charge the last few years, and they've been on full suspension rigs, so there's something to be said for that. It's obviously working.
Yeah, nothing wrong with suspension out here.
Any hopes? Any hopes for the second runs? What do you?
Wow. You know, I hope the Italian rider, Tortugo, makes it down again. I mean, that guy absolutely killed it. I think he deserves a bigger score.
Yeah.
And then it was great to see Semenuk and Reeder both planted in, but please, Regatkin, make it down to the bottom.
But we love to see that new blood. Torquato, I mean, he's such a talent, and you can tell that he's got so much more in the tank.
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
He definitely hasn't tapped into it.
Well, he teased that backflip tailwhip off a flat drop a few months ago. He just showed the first little bit of a clip. So, you know, he's sitting in a good spot right now, but he obviously needs to do some more. He said maybe he should have been judged higher. There's definitely something to be said for that. Will he try to do a backflip tailwhip off a flat drop? It's all on the line right now, and if he wants to move up in the leaderboard, he's got to figure out something else to do.
And to remind everyone, those of you just joining us worldwide watching, we are in the second runs of 2, the first runs of 2 in the books. It's the best run that counts, and what happens after that first run, they reshuffle the order based on your performance. So we know that Semenuk is potentially going to take maybe a victory lap if it goes his way, but we should point out too, as we get closer, they're taking that point total. So it's a little bit, changes a little bit in terms of taking that victory lap.
So yeah, for Crankworx World Tour overall, instead of just being your placing, your position that matters, first place is not all that matters, it's your score. So he's sitting with like a, you know, mid-90s score. If he improves that, that's gonna help when they're calculating the overall World Tour title for Slopestyle at the Crankworx Tour.
So some familiar faces on the current podium, yet to take those second runs, and no stranger to the podium as Jeannot finds himself in the top 3 spot.
He looks very surprised with his score.
Yeah.
He came down to the bottom and he was thrilled with his run, but then when he saw the score, he just had this blank look on his face like, are you sure that's my score? So, you know, I think he's putting in the work. He's got the style for miles, and you know, I want to see Janon come down again. I think he's got more to offer for sure, and pitting up against the rest of these boys.
So Brett Reeder obviously crashing on that flip double whip last year in Whistler, crushing his hopes at the overall Triple Crown, but he stomps it here in his first run. And talking about redemption, You got to talk about Brandon Semina, because this is the trick he crashed on last year. Look at that, Chase.
It looked just like the one that he crashed on, but then he pulled it. I mean,
just
right?
about 15 degrees more.
I was holding my breath the whole time, and then I just like, boom, pounded my fist together like, no way. It was so good. And you had that huge sigh of relief at the end. He threw his bike. I mean, sometimes we don't get to see the emotion from Seminuk, and right there, it bubbled over.
Yeah, he could not contain himself. And all the fans here, they are ready to get going with the second runs of 2. Remember, it's best run that counts. Aaron, I know you're going to be watching closely as we see how it unfolds as we take a quick trip to the top as we look at the current weather. The good news is that wind, the direction is good, and it's staying calm for the moment. Fingers crossed on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was really sweating it this morning when we came in. It was the windiest it's ever been. And typically, you know, the wisest rider is going to look to the weather and say, hey, every single day it starts picking up in the afternoon. That's when we start competing. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. I don't know what to do. It's actually getting a little bit better. So fingers crossed.
You know, watching the tribute to McGazza, I think everyone was claiming that he kind of parted the clouds. We've had a little cloudy all week, lots of wind, and today one for the Chamber of Commerce here in Rotorua.
I'd love to think so. And you know, there was some emotion up there with the boys before they dropped in, and it was a moment for sure. It was heavy, and it was yeah, the breeze in the trees up there was we were all with them.
All right, thank you, Aaron Chase. We know you're going back courtside there and watch all the goods as it goes down as we go right back to the top and get ready for the second runs here at the 2016 Rotorua Crankworx. And as we watched earlier, all those cobwebs of working out that first run. Max Fredriksson, we talked about his abilities earlier, that perfect amalgamation, has that Swedish influence. It's going to take a lot for Max to dig deep to break into that top 3. Has to be into the 90s.
Well, here comes Max again with that double tail. This time not making any mistakes, getting right to the pedals. A backflip tail up over the second feature. Wow. This is what we want to see out of Max Fredriksson. Boosting high on the amplitude scale with that backflip bar spin on the step up. Tail up on the cannon, catching early. He's got the clean landings of Anton Thielander and the rapid-fire tricks of Martin Soderstrom. Opposite 360 on the on-off. Truck driver down, stomps it. Setup jump, tuck no-hander. One last feature into the money booter for Max Fredriksson. Backflip tail whip as smooth as you could possibly ask for.
So a definite improvement. Will it be enough to crack into the 90s? We talk about just what it takes to be at the top of the heap.
That was so good to see. A young rider, his first appearance on the Diamond Series, and not buckling under the pressure. Ironing out the mistake from the first run, stomping that double tail up and a backflip tail up over that second feature. We haven't seen anybody do that yet. And then going really high on that backflip bar spin. Judges always looking for amplitude. Final jump, backflip tail up. And that's how Max does it. Catches the pedals really early at the peak of his air almost. He's already got the pedals, spotting the landing. Judges love those clean landings. And if you're clean enough to where you can take your hand off and claim before you even make it to the berm, you know you stomped it.
That is claim worthy for sure. As we'll wait for scores. An unbelievable tone set by Seminuk, 94.33. Blistering numbers. High expectations for all these riders, but the likes of Reeder, Seminuk, Janot, making it that much more difficult. And looking for improvement on the first stop of the season as trying to better that 8.3. Expect that.
Wow.
Gets to the top 5. So definitely improvement there. Happy with that. Can hold his head up high. You talked about coming back, showing that he wasn't rattled by the problems in the first run.
That's great to see. He's got a huge future in this sport, Max Fredriksson.
So I know you recognize Nikolai Rogatkin, and it was...
Oh, we get to see this right now. See, we go reverse order.
And this was the problems as we look back at last year.
Nope, this was last run for Max Fredriksson.
Yeah.
Going down on the first jump, not actually falling, but just missing those pedals and not having the speed to continue.
I thought we were going to see Rogatkin there, and we'll take a look at that mishap earlier, the blown out tire, all or nothing. Will we see that again? Will he gamble it all on that first?
Well, he really executed that trick perfectly in the first run. He was maybe just a hair off of perfect rotation, but it was enough to blow his tire out. These guys running very high tire pressure, puts a lot of pressure on the sidewalls. Hard to keep them on the rim if you land sideways. A lot of force going down to the rubber.
And if he makes it all the way to that last hit,
well, you heard him in the interview.
Will he even be willing to do a 1080?
He was saying, you know what, I'll deal with that when I get there. Right now I need to focus on each trick as I'm approaching it. So not even thinking of the last jump yet until he gets there. Look at him going through his head, picturing every move.
Good.
All right, this is what it all comes down to for Nikolai Rogatkin.
All or nothing, run number 2.
Nikolai, Cork 720 this time, absolutely perfect. Thank goodness we get to see this run. Double tail up on the second jump, into the step up, cash roll. All right, stomp, getting pedals into the cannon, double tail whip off the cannon. A front flip top no hitter on the hip, he holds on, slightly under rotated. Bar spin up,
no.
The fast plant 360 down. How is he so smooth right now? Tuck no hitter, he's coming into the money maker.
In Crankworx and Slopestyle history.
Doing it for Kelly McGarry.
Like a lightning bolt. You can feel Rogatkin's energy.
So much pressure on him to stomp that trick after all the hype. Let's take a look back. He does the Cork 720 once again. The only difference this time is he lands perfect, gets right onto the pedals into this double tail up on the second feature. Now he maintains composure, goes for the cash roll. That is a 720-degree rotation off axis, similar axis as we saw at the last jump. We're going to be getting there soon. But here's the middle section of the run, the part that matters just as much as the banger at the beginning and the banger at the end. He had that fast plant 360 down, taking a foot off, pushing off of the wood to initiate the spin of that 360, taking so many pedals into this jump, corking into that forward axis, dropping the opposite shoulder toward the end, spotting the landing. Take a look at this landing. 1, 2, 3 full rotations. Lands it, watch that back tire. Kaboom! Look at his eyes. His eyes looking straight forward, maintaining composure. Somehow, like a rodeo rider, he holds on to this thing.
I guarantee you he is going to break the internet with that trick as this thing gets replayed. And it's interesting when you think last year he broke his way onto the podium. He just broke the history books right there.
Well,
and to come back with that fortitude after the problems on the first run and just literally muscle his way through and do it so stylishly. I say muscle, but I mean it in a good way. I mean the style on top of that. And we know that he has to get, last year he was on the podium, but he is looking for the #1 spot. 94.33, the score to beat. And there it is, a 93. So even with the groundbreaking trick, a 93, just shy of Semenuk.
Take a look at his reaction right now. You can only guess what's going on through his head right now.
So a bit of surprise from Rogatkin as we check in with Tina Dixon.
Well, the score has been posted, but Nikolai, let's just talk about you having problems with that first run, going back up and being able to put what you just did down.
Oh, it was, yeah, really nerve-wracking up there, but I had the support of the guys, you know, they really supported me up there, telling me to get that, and as soon as I pulled it, you know, I had to get the rest of the run, and yeah, as you can see, barely holding on with the twister at the end, but unreal feeling, and you know, all the way through one of those runs, it like doesn't really feel like real life, but once you get to the bottom, there's no better feeling, so I'm stoked.
All right, so how important, though, was it to get that trick here at the first Crankworx?
Oh, vitally important, you know, like, just wanted to come down. Even after the first run, I was disappointed that I couldn't come down and do it. You know, I wanted to show the fans the trick. You know, they were expecting it, and it would have been disappointing to not do it and to not ride away. So held on for dear life and pulled it. So yeah, really incredible moment, and doing it for Kelly, of course.
What a run for Nikolai, guys, and that new trick.
We're still a bit speechless, Tina. Cam and I are literally at a loss for words. Obviously, the judges, critical on that landing, but then you talk about the progression and doing something entirely new. I mean, bringing the sport to that next chapter.
Well, yeah. Man, the judges are a tough crowd, and I talked to them a little bit earlier, and they said that, yes, there is a possibility to see a brand new trick, but it's got to be all about the whole run, so there may be something about that run they didn't like as much as Brandon Semenuk, as he still sits in first place.
So trying to better a 15.66 Raboul on his second run.
Louis Raboul with that classic Louis style, off axis, flat spin 360 on the step down, hanging out that seat grab Indian air. No pedals into this one. Wow, was that a double grab to tail whip? I can't wait to see the replay of that. Flipping the cannon. 360 toboggan, putting his hand on his seat mid-rotation. An opposite 360, he got it this time. And then another regular 360 down. He's gonna be dizzy. Wow, ET to tuck no hander, full revolution of the pedals, hands off, back flip, tail whip, stopped redemption for Louis Raboul.
Incredible air awareness and just his understanding of air awareness and the axis. Incredible style, so an improvement for him on run number 2.
So much going on in that run. 9 features, let's take a look back at a few of them. There's that flat spin 360 Louis style on the step down. And then really good extension on the seat grab Indian air. Here's where I want to see how many hands were on the seat. Both hands on the seat to tail whip. That is a humongous combo. Never seen that in a slopestyle contest. Legs behind him, 2 hands on the seat, gets his hands back on the handlebars, kicks the bike around for a full spin, slipping pedals slightly, but it's a trick you're not going to see anybody else doing. Opposite rotation of a 360 up, regular rotation down, spinning the pedals and doing a tuck no hander on the setup. And then this nice stomped backflip tail up to finish things off.
So the 22-year-old, very high skill set, victory at the Swatch Prime line back in 2014, catapulted him into the mainstream and the scene. A lot of expectations.
Well, we're seeing a couple riders right now who threw away their first runs, getting redemption. It's great to see. What's his score going to be?
So a 63.33, 11th will be the best he can do, and that just shows you how high the stakes are at Crankworx nowadays.
Well, Louis getting valuable points to stay on tour. Can't wait to see him back in his home country of France.
So back in the gate, Carson Storch. And you know that Carson definitely didn't tick all the boxes that he knew he was supposed to do in run number 1, but a chance for redemption for him.
Well, Carson knows exactly what he needs to do right now. He was very close to Kelly McGarry. They were teammates a few years ago. Here he is dropping in to get redemption on that first run. There it is, that backflip tail whip, smooth again, straight to the pedals. Missing trick on the second jump. That's not going to help his score right now. But good extension on that no-footed can was nice. Here into the cannon, opposite 360. Nice and smooth into the left hip with a 360 tail up right to the pedals. Smooth on the landing. Bar spin up, the on-off box. Flat flip off. Popping the tuck no-hander on the setup jump into the last jump. Can he stomp it this time? Backflip tail whip, perfectly square.
So redemption for Carson down on the bottom half. Slight bobbles up top, forcing him a little off his line, but was able to come back and find the rhythm of that run.
Look at this. Luckily, his tire did not blow off like we saw happen to Nikolai. He lands slightly sideways, but keeps his shoulders square, composed into the next jump. Wasn't able to get a trick on that, so he has to push that out of his head right away. Big amplitude and extension on that no-footed can. And then here's where things went wrong for him in the first run, ironing out that mistake now. Backflip tail up right to pedals and straight on the landing.
And there's that clean landing. Definitely stuck it perfectly that time, so
you see
that's
him
got to feel good.
Using the elbows and the knees, keeping that head still. Judges love to see those smooth landings.
So Carson Storch, basically good at everything. Doesn't matter if it's on a bike, motocross, snowboarding. 59.33, only good enough for 13th, but I think we can expect a lot more from Carson Storch throughout the season.
There we go. Shout out to McGazza. As we said before, Carson used to be teammates with Kelly a couple years ago. They've had a lot of good road trips together and stuff. So another rider. They're all doing it for McGazza out here, but definitely Carson Storch doing it for Kelly.
Yeah, we heard a lot of people talking just how hard it was for Carson earlier. It was a very touching tribute, the tribute run all the way through from top to bottom, and a big day for everyone that knew McGazza. And Sam Reynolds now eyes up his second run of 2.
Sam Reynolds going to the fully suspended slope bike this year. His first run was so smooth, but he took the hands off on that backflip on the start step down, getting that no-footed can, no-hander on the second jump as he did in his first run. Another smooth backflip tail up, almost stalling it out at the top of the airtime. Tail up off of the cannon. 360 one-footed can on the hip. And there's that tuck no-hander up. 360 down. Well, he needs to stomp that Quark 720. Wow, the Superman on the setup. Can he get that Quark 7 and fix his first runs? There it is.
Landings do not get better than that.
The story is redemption out here.
And the extension on the Superman, such punctuation.
Yeah, that's true. You know, he threw away the run by missing that 720 in run 1, but he had even more extension on that Superman. One thing that he missed in this run compared to run 1, though, was taking the hands off on that flip, but stays focused, does not get discouraged. Both feet over on one side of the bike, hands off the handlebars, the sidewinder. There we go. Look, watch him kind of hang it out, slow the rotation on that backflip tail whip. And then Sam Reynolds, last 3 tricks was a 360 down off the drop, this massively extended Superman. That's the trick that won him best trick at Rampage just a few months ago out in Utah. And then Quark 720, pulling those bars into the lap, straightening himself out, making it possible to get that last 180 of rotation and eye up that landing. That's gotta feel good, you know, for all these guys who messed up their first runs to stomp those moves, especially for Brandon, you know, waiting an entire year to do it.
Yeah, a long, hard wait, and then to come back and deliver the necessary goods. So scores for Sam Reynolds, definitive improvement, 77. So the best he'll be able to do is 8th place, so an improvement. But when scores are hovering in the 90s, it literally takes unbelievable amount of progression and perfection. And here at the Skyline Rotorua, so many trails around this place. It's deceptive. It looks like just a couple of trees and
what a
little
bike
neighborhood
park, man. I was here 6 years ago before they had a bike park. Then when I showed up last year, I hardly recognized the place. So many trails, something for everybody out here.
Yeah, and Tina talked about it too. It's just the age range. You've got, you know, mini Groms, 5 years old, doing downhill bikes, and you run into, you know, 80-year-olds up on the trails.
Well, look at Anton Thielander getting ready in the gate. Look at how he's running an actual brake cable. A lot of these guys using mechanical and hydraulic gyros, so they don't have to be counting how many bar spins and tail ups they did. But Anton doing it old school here. Starting out this run, backflip bar spin, nicely corked out landing, very straight. And then another flat spin on that setup jump. Backflip tail up, catching early. Flipping that hipped cannon, so impressive. Anton Thielander with a 3-whip on the hip. Now into the on-off box, opposite 360 up. Regular 360 down. They call him clean lander for a reason. Tuck no-hander on the setup jump and gets that backflip bar spin. He tried to do a backflip bar spin, a tuck no-hander in run 1, keeping things smooth, getting a run in the bag now, leaving the tuck no-hander out, but crossing the finish line.
Find me a bad landing on that too. I mean, as far as clean landings go, that was hermetically sealed.
Well, look at this. Look how his head corks off the takeoff, putting it on a cool axis, a little bit more style on that backflip bar spin. And then that corked out, almost a hybrid between a corked out flip and a flat spin 360, but doing what he needs to do to line up to that jump because it's slightly hipped. Backflip tail whip. Of course, catching early because that's the way Anton Thielander does it. And then here it is. This takeoff is banked, the landing is hipped, so he's got to lean in a way so that he will land perfectly in line with that landing. Way more technical than most logs that you see that are completely straight. And then the backflip bar spin, once again, slightly corked out with that Anton Thielander style. See how he's slightly sideways, but then he pulls it back straight? That's his fingerprint on that trick right there.
Body English is a good thing, for sure. So Scores being tabulated. Second run of competition so far. And best run that counts is 77.66, so a huge improvement for Anthony. And moves into 8th place. As tires are popping, that could be champagne. Maybe the festivities just getting started.
Well,
just a little early, because we do have many more runs to go here in the second runs. Best run that counts. Medigani out of France, the 27-year-old. He is going to bring a lot to the table in run number 2. We know that he had a little bit more to sprinkle on his run in that first run, but can he get it together?
Well, this is the guy that I really like to refer to as the most underrated rider in slopestyle mountain biking. Getting on the Diamond Series last year, having some good results, but the tricks he has in his bag, if he can link them all together, he needs to have his stem stay straight. That's what put his run to an anticlimactic stop in run 1, but a backflip tuck no hander, great way to start things off. That slow rotated front flip on the second jump, very smooth. Backflip, bar spin to bar spin on the third jump, landing long but maintaining speed. 360 on the cannon log. Come on, get that speed, Medi. Oh, coming up short. He's not gonna have the speed to step up onto the platform.
And just like that, a rider, a long career, battling a lot of injuries. We were hoping to see him find his flow here at the first stop of the season.
Well, I would have loved to see that entire run. We're going to take a look back at how great it was going before he lost speed on the hip, the backflip tuck no-hander, and then here's a highlight for me. How high did he go? Now that is reminiscent in tribute of Kelly McGarry. Kelly McGarry front flipped that jump in very similar fashion last year, just a year ago. Okay, there's where the speed started to slow down. He cased the 360 off the cannon log, so he cased the hip. And if you case the hip, you're just not going to have speed for that step up.
And you bring up a good point. You know, when riders slow down that rotation, it's almost addictive to watch. The slower the rotation, the better.
Well, time stands still for the rider, but also the fans going, oh my gosh, he's literally so high in the air. Does he realize he's still upside down? He's opening up to slow down, but he has great air awareness. Tucked the bars into his lap, sped it up, and guided it in for a perfect landing on that front flip.
Medigani, a rider's rider, has a deep love for riding and progressing his game with his friends.
Well, we just saw him do it for the fans down here off camera, going for the Cork 720, having another little tumble. But that's what it's all about, doing it for the crowd out here, getting them cheering. Medigani.
So here at Crankworx Rotorua, in the midst of the second runs of 2, Semenuk on top of that 94.33. Nikolai Rogatkin, a 93, groundbreaking run for the American, and Brett Reeder. The battle between Reeder and Semenuk last year, it continues this year. It's going to have to be all or nothing for Reeder to come back swinging properly in run number 2.
To be in Brett Reeder's head right now.
Good luck with that one.
Just wondering
You're going to need a flat couch and a lot of time.
Just wondering what he's planning.
And Tomas Zeta now trying to better that 57.33.
Well, we saw him do the same thing last year, get a clean run in the bag, and then add some flavor onto it in run 2. Let's see if he can do it again this year. 360 tail up down. We saw him do it first this year. We saw Brandon take a page out of his book. 360 inverted tabletop on the second jump. There we go. That's what he wanted in run 1. The tail whip to bar spin combo. 360 with style off of the cannon. Double tail up on the hip. Wow, he's definitely improving this run so far. Truck driver up, looking so casual. 360X up down. 2 more opportunities for tricks. Tail up on the long and low. What's it gonna be on the moneymaker? Another backflip tail up, smooth again.
Zeta, very few wrinkles in that run. Man,
did he ever improve on that first score?
The style and the lateness. The whip into the bar spin and just how long he waited on that. I mean, that's just showing serious, you know what, my friend.
So the 3-whip on the start drop, the 360 table. The thing about this guy is he has combos. Here's one of them right here. Tail up, puts his feet back on the pedals, does a bar spin. Catches pedals, throws the bars. That jump yields those combos, and he's a rider who's taking advantage of that. Look at the style. Downside with the bars, and then up with the bars. Also known for his style. Not so many riders who are equally known for their style and their technical combos. Thomas Zeta packing it all into this run. The last jump, taking a pedal, getting speed. Smooth backflip tail up once again. So he started it off the same way, he ended it the same way, but there was a lot of changes in the middle that will increase the score here for Thomas Zeta.
So the waiting game as scores come in, as you anticipated, an improvement, 61.33. The best Zeta can do is a 15th.
Man, what a crazy level of competition where that run puts you in 15th.
Exactly.
That would have been a winning run, you know, just a couple years ago, hands down.
Well, the stakes are high, and the level of riding has never been higher as we continue with the second runs. Incredible, beautiful day here in Rotorua, New Zealand. And Kabani, the resurgent Kabani, the 26-year-old German. And you talked about his hometown, perfect playground to progress the sport. Very influenced by movies like New World Disorder. Who wasn't? But you can see it in his riding. Definitely willing to send it.
Well, Amir Kabani had a good first run, already adding something to it. A 360 bar spin to X up. There's the Superman C grab on the second jump. Backflip tail. Oh, coming up short, but luckily saving it. Nope, he did go down, actually. It's good to see him not get completely bucked to flat, though.
So Kabani going pro in 2006. His campaign here at the first stop of Crankworx Slopestyle is over.
One thing about that jump that he just crashed on is it has a 14-foot tall lip. So it's really hard to judge speed for it right there, going a little bit too slow, and he didn't know that he was going too slow until he caught those pedals and spotted his landing and then realized, oh, well, I guess this is the end of the run.
Almost 5 meters. I mean, yeah, it's an incredible distance to contend with. Right now, let's check in with Tina Dixon for more.
Well, guys, one of the underlying stories that we have going on right now is that story of redemption. We saw it earlier from Brandon Semenek. We saw it from Nikolai Rogatkin. I just spoke to Sam Reynolds about it, and he said it can be so hard when you mess up on something and move forward. You have to put that out of the back of your head and stay positive, and it can be one of the most challenging things in an event like this. Now, Brett Reeder, he still had that full pull, that good first run. He still has that second run, but he's, you know, in the position that he's in now, he may just have to dig a little bit deeper and pull out that mental strength to get ahead of Brandon, guys.
Thanks, Tina, as we jump right back into live competition.
Looking back at this run of Brandon's run that has him seated in the first place position, and you know, after having a conversation with the judges before we got the competition underway, I completely kind of see how their strategy is playing out. They're talking about, well, yes, Nikolai has that 1080, and if he lands, it's going to be a big deal, but we do not want to undermine the technical prowess of some of the other riders out here packing so much into a run.
So back to the competition at hand. As a good look back and just seeing just what it takes as the 29-year-old gets ready for his second run. Also has those trampoline skills, so comfortable in the air.
Well, Yannick Granieri basically with a reignited fire the last couple years. Backflip tuck no hander on the second jump, coming in real fast to the step up, backflip tail up, right to pedals, not casing like we saw Amir Kabani do. And there we go, tail up off the log. Flat spin 450 X up on the hip. Front flipping up once again. Landing smooth, holding on the tail up. Will he have to improvise on the last jump again, or will he have speed? Flip on the long and low. Here comes the money booter. He's got a big one planned. Backflip, Superman C-crab, Indian hair.
Granieri goes completely mental on run number 2.
Wow,
He found an extra gear.
He had been practicing that trick and getting so frustrated in practice this morning. He wanted it. He stomped it in his second run here. Take a look back at how this started out, keeping things simple off the start with a backflip, but going for broke on the second jump with a backflip tuck no hander. He was basically just slowly ramping it up as he goes. The backflip tail was smooth and precise, and this was a complete signature move here for Yannick Granieri, going flat spin, adding the variation with the X up, and then the front flip Such a small amount of air time to rotate a forward flip on that step up. The tail whip down, so crucial to get the feet back on the pedals. And he did not do this in the first run. Very difficult to generate enough speed to backflip that setup jump and then carry it into the final jump, putting the hand on the seat while upside down, not just taking the feet off, but crossing them underneath the bike in Superman position, crossing the legs, landing perfect. Once again, claiming that landing with his fist.
Almost more comfortable upside down than upright. Granieri waiting for the second run scores. We mentioned about his heritage. Grandfather, part of the famous bike manufacturer, paid his dues as a kid working in a bike shop and then realizing he had the wherewithal and the skills to put his name in the ranks. A 74.33. So just shy of the top 10, and this keeps hammering home the point of what it takes to get into that coveted top 10 position. I mean, we just witnessed an incredible run, but to get scores into the 90s, you literally not only have to be flawless, but you have to be doing tricks on features that other riders aren't doing them, and you have to have those perfect landings.
Well, it's really tough. You know, you see a rider stomp such a great run, you go, oh, they should be higher, and then you don't realize that, man, you're comparing their runs to a bunch of other runs that were flawless. So the level of competition, it's really hard to crack into that top 10.
Now Simon on his second run here.
Simon Godziak, such a creative approach to this course in run one. Backflip, one-footed can-can, straight into that double grab, Superman seat grab. Third jump, just doing a one-hander. He landed so long, I think he was adjusting his helmet right there. He maybe couldn't see the takeoff of that next jump. Oh, he's throwing this one away right here. Something happened, Pat.
And a rider that's doing so much to promote mountain biking in his home country of Poland. Definitely a star back home, and I know they're watching.
Whoa.
Great extension on Superman.
Well, he's got a... Well, he's got a way of extending those freestyle motocross tricks. I don't know if there's a little wind catching him or if maybe his helmet went over his eyes, but kind of calling that one in the middle of the run.
Married last year, and obviously one of his big influences, no shocker, Travis Pastrana, and you see it in his riding for sure, but obviously some problems there. So basically threw that one away, and he'll focus on the second stop in France, onward and forward. So the big question is anybody going to be able to catch Brandon Semenuk? As obviously disappointed in that run, but so we mentioned, can anyone better the top spot? You've seen a lot in your days as a pro rider, and
let's talk about Brandon Semenuk here for a second. He's basically won every single contest there is to win in the sport of mountain biking. Guess which one he hasn't won before? Crankworx Rotorua. He's won in Whistler numerous times. He's won in France. He's won Red Bull Rampage. He's won basically everything possible, but this is the one that he hasn't won. So kind of slowing down on the competition circuit these days, but before he slows down for good, this is the one he wants to check off and win. He's done everything he needs to do right now to do so, unless somebody has what it takes to beat him.
So looking back at this first run, what could he possibly add to further that lead? Should Brett Reeder or some of the other riders surpass the likes of a 94 plus?
Yeah, knowing that he still has these guys aiming for him, he's obviously sitting there strategizing, and he's got more in the tank. He's got some combos maybe to add on that third jump, but
when we talk about the tank, Sam Pilgrim has virtually every trick he needs.
And a tank top.
Yeah, and a tank top. Good point.
There we go. Click, backflip, turn down on the step down. Sam Pilgrim, run 2, 360, tabletop on the second jump. No pedal into the third step up. There it is, a variation. Backflip, tail whip to tabletop. Doing combos with style. Tail whip off the log. 360 tail up on the hip. What does he have to add to this? Tuck no hander up. There it is again, that flat drop backflip tabletop. 360 in the long and low, that's new. Nobody's done that yet except for Anthony Missouri. Cork 720, pulls it around last second.
Pilgrim finds his perfection when needed on the second run. The body language said it all. That was a body claim.
Man, oh man. He pulled that 720 around at the last possible minute. Let's take a look back at some of the highlights. Here it is. You don't see many riders doing turndowns on a mountain bike, but Sam running those high bars, backflip turn down straight into 360 tabletop. Here's the combo. You got combination plus style, backflip tail up to tabletop, showing so much control. Basically checking off all the judges' criteria in one move. Into the cannon log, a tail whip, catching pedals early. The only guy we've seen out here doing this trick today so far, flat drop backflip tabletop, and there we go. Only 2 riders in the field, 360 in that very long jump. Over 30 feet long, more than 10 meters. There it is. Cork 720, when he caught a glimpse of the ground, he realized that he was a little slow on the rotation. Let's take a look back at this Cork 720 in slow motion. Snaps the rotation, sees the landing, and then yanks his neck backwards because he knows he's getting close to the ground. Great air awareness there.
So Sam Pilgrim always smiles, but finds extra reason to grin for the moment. A 94.3, that lofty tone set by Semenuk, followed by Rogatkin and Reeder in third.
All top 4 in the 90s, Pat.
What's that?
Top 4 in the 90s.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. 94.3, 85.66. Moves into 5th place. It'll be the best he can do.
There he's stoked. That's great.
And it's one of those things. A lot of these riders, they try to explain it to people that don't ride, but often the competition is with yourself. As long as you put everything on the table, you have to be happy with that.
You set your goal, and the only thing you have control over is execution over that goal. The judges do their job, you do yours, and you have to have a place in your mind to feel good about a run, even if it doesn't get the score you want. But right there, it looks like Sam's very happy with that run.
We are getting awfully close to crowning a champion here at the first stop of 2016. Anthony now drops in on his second and final run.
360 double bar spin, a double truck driver off the step down. Backflip bar spin, even smoother this time around than his first. Backflip double tail up on the third jump. Wow, that's a new one in competition for Anthony Missouri. Wow, Anthony Missouri, tail up off the log, flat spin on the hip. Carry that speed, Anthony. Bar spin to bar spin back, up the step up, 360 down. Man, this kid has composure. Flat spin 360, landing sideways, but maintaining speed. Double tail up to finish things off. Wow, he holds on. How did he hold on to that?
The youngest rider showing some serious strength.
I gotta wonder if that was an improvised move right there. He's been doing front flip combos on that last jump, but without having the speed to be able to pull back and lunge forward, he goes for the double tail whip. Look at that, 360 with 2 bar spins. That's a trick we saw a few times last year. Nobody's done it yet out here this year. Backflip bar spin over the second jump. And here's a new one for Anthony Missouri for the 2016 season. Backflip double tail whip. I remember seeing him try those years and years ago, but he couldn't land them consistently enough, but now he's figured it out. There's this over rotation on the flat spin on the setup, causing him to lose speed, alter his plan, not do the front flip, but instead go for the double tail whip. Watch how he comes up short by about 6 inches. Comes so close. His tire was behind the landing there. And watch, looks like he's going to get sent to the flat. His feet never touch the ground,
but that's just
he gains composure.
The skill set, a child prodigy. There's been so much focus on him since he's been very young. Youngest competitor here. I mean,
he's been the youngest competitor for like 5 years now.
Exactly. And you know, he's those BMX roots. He brings that energy, as you pointed out, a definite kind of, would you say a froth, a good level of froth that he brings to the mountain bike scene.
No shortage of energy with this kid. He took his first huge win on the Diamond Series 2 years ago in France, looking to repeat again, but no stranger to the podium at any slopestyle event.
And at 19, I think we can expect that he hasn't even come close to peaking. So much more from him as we get right back to the top. And
speaking of young guys.
Yeah. Keeping it young. Lemois trying to better an 80. A lot of people were amazed by that first run. What could he possibly add to that?
It was the subtleties that got him that score last run. The landings were smooth. There was no pedaling in between features. Now he just has to add a couple things to it. Well, right off the get-go, missing one there. He wanted to take his hands off on that 360. Getting that corked out flip over the hip second jump. Bar spin to tuck no-hander on the third jump, that step up. Cannon log, 360X up with nice style pointing it into the landing. Nice knack. Well, right now he's having fun with it because he knows this run isn't exactly as high scoring as his first run. So this one's for the fans out here in Rotorua.
So one last hit on the McGazza moneymaker.
Oh, there it is.
And he'll finish it out.
Pretty crazy when you can still do a nice combination move on the last jump, even when you've written the run off and decided that it's just for the crowd.
And can we talk about the smoothness on the transition?
Of his pants?
Of that too, a little on the snuggle cut, yeah.
Look at those pants. That's one heck of a pattern on there. See, 316, a little bit heavy on the rotation on that, so he had to open up early in order to slow it down. If he put his bars in his lap and took his hands off, he would have really spun too fast. That just goes to show he's got great air awareness as well. Having fun with it down here. He had already written off the run at this point in time. But doing it for the crowd, 360 tuck no-hander to X up, getting redemption, missing the no-hander on the first jump, getting it on the last jump. But a healthy score there, that 80 from run 1, ranked 8 so far right now for Thomas Lemoyne.
Yeah, and showing his wherewithal on the pump track, and just such an amazing skill set. But look at these. This is a podium picture if I ever saw it. You know, he's tired of being third. Semenuk, he's going to hold on to that top spot and do whatever he has to do to hold on to it. But the gentleman to the left of your screen, Brett Reeder, won 2 events last year and got the overall title. He faltered in that third stop. We didn't have that clean sweep. The big question, will we see a true Triple Crown winner in 2016?
Well, whoever takes this one is going to be the only rider still in the running for that.
And I think Torquato Testa, the Italian rider, could be the one spoiler to all their plans. Here we go.
Backflip no-footed can once again on the start step down. Another double tail up on the second jump. Carrying speed. Will he go for the double flip again? He does. Oh, perfect yet again. Into the log, 360. Torquato Testa coming up a little short on the cannon log and having to throw this one away. Unfortunately, the way this sport is now, Pat, one little mistake, you're trying to improve your score that you already put in the bag, and one little mistake just kind of makes that impossible.
But I'll tell you what Torquato Testa did today is that he shot basically a warning shot across the bow of the established riders. They know he's coming now. I think from this point on, when he drops in, everyone is going to watch the run.
He basically showed his firepower. Not only that he has the mental wherewithal to get himself in the mindset to try those gnarly tricks, but to put down a consistent run. The only thing wrong with his first run was a minor pedal bobble, which he recovered quickly. So he's got the consistency, he's got the tricks, and he also has that wow factor of new tricks.
I'll tell you what, I thought I was watching Corey Nastasio there on the double backflip. As we look at the current standings, Brandon Semenuk is still on top with that 94.33, followed by the American Nikolai Rogatkin, the 93 holding strong, and Brett Reeder. And remember, Reeder, he's still going to have a chance to answer back. It's the best run that counts. Well, we see that rivalry continue, and Rogatkin, you know, he wanted a little bit more to say. Had he not faltered on that first run, it could be a different story right now.
And then talk about Thomas Janan, the guy who wants to break his curse of getting third place consistently last year, all 3 Crankworx stops. This is not the way he wanted to do it. He's sitting in 4th right now. So to kind of break even with where he was at last season, he's got to go up in the rankings right now. Obviously, he wants that first spot. I talked to him about his run earlier in the week, and I know that he left a couple things out of his first run. So believe it or not, he has more in the tank.
So consistency is biggest strength. He's going to need to tap into it right now.
Double tail whip once again on the start. 360, nice style with the tabletop there. Can he get this combo again? 360, bar spin to tail whip. Oh no! Short on the rotation, short on the speed. Goes down. Luckily, didn't look like he hit hard. He's already back up. Well, Tomas Janon's not going to get another third place out here today. Unfortunately, not kicking this season off on the same foot as he was so consistently landing on that third place spot last year.
There's so many variables. Talk about all the things that are going on right now that need to go right.
Well, here it is. Double tail up went smooth. 360 tabletop. He was a little over-rotated. That might have gotten his head a little bit, but he already regained composure before this jump. It was just not fast enough, both on the rotation and the speed. Here we go. So it was mostly rotation, actually. Oof. See, about 270 instead of 360.
So there is Brett Reeder, defending champ here last year, went on to win in France and was the overall winner. But the back and forth, we talk about the rivalry between Brandon Semenuk, who sits in first place right now, one of the best rivalries in the history of this young sport. And these two gentlemen are solely responsible for so much progression, literally ushering in so much to the sport of slopestyle. And it's this healthy back and forth that fuels the evolution. And I'll tell you what, they both wear the pressure so well, you wouldn't know it by looking at Brett Reeder right now. He knows what Semenuk put down. Does he have the run to get into the 95 plus? Is there something we haven't seen that
I know he does. I 100% know he does. We just recently finished shooting a team video, Trek team, both of these guys. I've seen what they have in the tank. I know Brett Reeder has some more up his sleeve.
A test of nerves and wherewithal. Here goes Reeder, final run.
Brett Reeder, can he do it? Backflip bar spin to tuck no hander, coming in smooth. The second jump with that Cork 720, perfect yet again. Into the step up. Going for the backflip double whip on that jump this time. Moving the trick from the bottom to the middle. Opposite tail up on the cannon log. 1, 2, 3 bar spins on that 360. Opposite 360 bar spin up. This is going perfect. Backflip, one-footed can-can. Tuck no hander. 2 bar spin. This is it right here for Brett Reeder. Last jump. Cork 720. Oh! Minor bobble.
That was switch. That was opposite.
I need to look back at that replay right now because this guy has so many tricks up his sleeve. I want to see the rotation on that 720. Look at Brandon wondering what the score is going to be if he has to drop in for another run. All right, we need to pay a lot of attention to this run right here. Backflip bar spin, tuck no hander. Into this is definitely a regular Cork 720. Now into the step up. Flip double whip, taking the trick from the bottom of the course up there to the step up, leaving the door open for another trick on the bottom. As soon as we saw this, we have to start thinking, well, what is he going to do at the bottom? Just as the first run here in the middle, opposite whip. There we go, the flat drop, flip, one-footed can. Now we need to pay close attention. He rotates to his right naturally. Does he spin to the left here? He does spin to the left. Wow. You know what? The reason why I was confused is because he usually spins his opposite 720s not corked, but he's been doing his homework over the offseason, spins this rotation his opposite way, and it looks like a mirror image of his regular 720s. Wow, he's been doing his homework.
The comfort factor, had he stuck that, obviously judges highly reward that type of risk-taking and showing that ability.
So does the foot drop matter when you're doing not only an opposite 720, but doing it on the same axis as the regular one?
He knows that you need perfection to battle. Brandon put down in the first run of 2. Sitting on a 92, needs to better a 94.33. Is it enough? It is not.
Wow, I don't know if they realized that was an opposite. Oh, maybe might have been the foot drop.
It's official. Brandon Semenuk takes the win at the first stop by virtue of having the best first run of 2. But I'll tell you what, he does not want to do a victory lap right now. He knows at the end of it, it's going to be based on points.
Well, his score is so high already. You know, we may see a victory lap here.
Showing incredible switch capabilities. Brett Reeder, he's with Tina Dixon now.
Well, and Brett, you changed up some things in that run. That flip double whip, you went up top. The opposite 720 here at the bottom. I mean, how much were you going for it there?
Well, I was at the point where I was on the podium after Tommy G went down, and then, I don't know, I just, if I had have landed that smooth, then I might have bumped into first, but yeah, that was the first time I ever did a switch Cork 7, so I didn't land it perfect, whatever. I got my work cut out for me for next contest, for sure.
But what a start to the year for Brett, guys, changing things up already.
Thanks, Tina. Yeah, as we mentioned, the script has been officially flipped and seen the opposite of last year. So now it's Reeder that's going to go back, get back on the jumps and come back really swinging and prepared for the second stop in France. Brandon Semenuk really knew what he needed to bring to the table at this first stop, and so now a run, trying to better that 94 should he see the need, or can he?
It's the next chapter of this story, but there's no need for Brandon to try to better his score for that Crankworx World Tour overall. That's the only difference this year as opposed to last year, is the actual number of the points counts toward the overall. But I mean, he's so high in the 90s with that score right now. You think he's going to try to beat that? Not a chance. He's going to soak up every minute of this victory lap for the crowd.
And I like how they do try to downplay
There we go. Backflip bar spin to tuck no hander. The trick that won it last year, used in a victory lap this year. Just crazy to see how much things progress in 365 days.
Something you can do on lock. So obviously now he ticks that off the box. Has the win at Rotorua. Hard pressed to find an event he has not win. Let's check in with our champ, who's with Tina Dixon.
Well, Cam, you talked about this earlier, Brandon. You've won in Whistler, you've won in France, but you've never won here in Rotorua. So what does it mean to finally win here and do that victory lap?
Feels so good, just like such a good redemption. And yeah, obviously last year I had a good run going and I was close, but just couldn't put it together, and obviously didn't get to do my second run. So to come back and actually get a win at this event just kind of rounds off the Crankworx series for me, which is nice.
What does this do for your motivation to start out this season with this win?
Honestly, I wasn't even planning on coming here until like 6 days before the event, so this is just bonus for me, like 100% bonus.
Congratulations on this win, Brandon. And we also saw a lot of new tricks from the other riders, guys.
Indeed, Tina. Wow.
Looking at this replay of this winning run, you see a lot of stuff that was reminiscent of his run from last year, but being that it's a new year, he added so much more to it, not just stomping this Cork 720 bar spin, but adding the 360 tail up off the start, the backflip tuck no hander off the cannon log.
And what do you make of the calmness in the way that he rides? It's unbelievable.
Well, he has defined the sport. You see all those riders out there who have that great composure and that grace. This is the first guy who brought that technique to this sport, and all these riders who are coming up under his reign right now have learned from what he's dominated with.
And want to encourage the fans worldwide, if you checked in late or if you've been watching from start to finish, you can go back and watch the highlights. So many tricks to take in, and some new names, and the established, the grizzled veterans doing what they do best and laying down the gauntlet here. Go to Red Bull TV, the Red Bull TV analyzer, and you can go back and watch the heat you want, the rider you want, basically the trick you want, really showcase, share it on social media. Spend a lot of time on here. This is my time vampire, you know, guilty pleasure, if I will.
Share those highlights with your friends, you know, get everybody involved in the action.
So the Red Bull TV analyzer allows you to go back and watch all of today's, and for that matter, last season. You can watch the great battle between Brett Reeder, Brandon Semenuk, and as it is getting time to hand out the hardware here at the first stop at 3 of the 2016 Crankworx, as the people are gathering down at the bottom as things coming to a close here in New Zealand. A beautiful day as we still think about McGazza, and definitely clearing the clouds and just setting the tone for a wonderful day of competition.
A legendary day of slopestyle competition in honor, celebrating a legend like Kelly McGarry.
Gorgeous look across the lake here from the complex here, just littered with trails as we get ready to hand out the hardware. So grabbing third place, which is unbelievable. We thought about the back and forth and how this was going to play out. We knew Rogatkin had definitely a lot in the tank, but as we can see, Reeder does too, and he has yet to deliver all the goods.
Well, it's great to see, you know, we talk about Brandon. Nikolai Rogatkin ended up right in between those guys. Look at his jersey right there in honor of Kelly McGarry. He's got a portrait on there. You know, that's where he got the strength to try that 1080.
Let's not forget about the Ferrari too, Torquato. We'll have to see what he has next. As Nikolai Rogatkin, tragedy with that tire blow on that first jump, but was able to come back, showing an incredible amount of resilience and kind of fierce focus.
And your winner, the moment you guys have been waiting for, posted up at 94.33, coming out swinging here in Crankworx Rotorua and taking the big win. All smiles for Brandon Semenuk.
There it is, your 2016 Crankworx Rotorua champ, Brandon Semenuk. A well-deserved victory.
Got Brandon.
So right now we're looking at Kelly McGarry's girlfriend, Sammy Hitchcock, awarding the first ever McGazza Trophy to our winner out here today, Brandon Semenuk.
And I want to encourage all the viewers, as you mentioned, McGazza, what an honor to receive that award. Go to Red Bull TV as well and check out Peaking 72 Hours with Kelly McGarry. Follows him throughout the entire rampage. An amazing, close, personal slice of what an incredible person he was. So be sure to check that out. It's on Red Bull TV. I watched it this morning. It's pretty hard.
It's bittersweet to watch stuff like that. You know, it's so great to see such a good buddy, you know, just see his face again, and the fact that that's new content. He's no longer with us. It's bittersweet to see, but man, he is in all of our hearts. We're thinking about him nonstop out here, and all these riders elevated themselves to such a height, and you know the reason. It's because Kelly, man, he never backed down. He was never one to shy from a challenge, and these guys just channeling that energy out here in Rotorua.
And another thing for all the fans of two wheels, keeping the rubber side down, be sure to check out the UCI downhill events on Red Bull TV. So obviously the tour here for Crankworx moves on to France, but there's so many events throughout the season for all disciplines.
Mountain biking, such a crazy sport with so many different disciplines. You've got enduro, you've got slopestyle. We had pump track last night, but quite possibly one of the gnarliest. Look at this, downhill racing World Cup. Of course, tune in to those webcasts. Series kicking off. It's going to be a doozy. A lot of riders switching sponsors this year, so everybody focusing their eyes on that series.
Whew. So a little a nice type of XL. What do you take from the first stop of 2016? Is it a good harbinger of what's to come?
Well, we woke up this morning and we knew what slopestyle was. At this point right now, it's a different reality, and that's what 2016 is going to look like. This is our first stop here in Rotorua. We're going to be in France here before we know it, and of course we'll cap things off in Whistler in just a few months. Can't wait to see what these riders will bring to those competitions.
You can't write a better script. I want to thank Cam McCall, Tina Dixon, Aaron Chase, Brad J, and of course the fine production team at Boombox. What an amazing event. One in the books. We look forward to seeing you come France. Be sure to watch it all go down on Red Bull TV. We'll see you then.